on session 4 because I knew we'd have to be doing it for Maisie on session 5, so I figured, hey, why not do it both at the same time? And that is character side goals, in which each of you will choose a sort of side goal your character will have, or you have for your character over the next few story arcs. And the rest of the players will determine some sort of complication for that goal. So, who would like to go first? Maisie or Jack? I will roll the dice of power if neither of you are, or I guess flip the coin of power, if neither of you will step forward on this.
I'll go, sure. I just don't like being Mr. Takeover things. I'll say that Jack's side goal is become a bully boy.
Just become a bully boy, or
I don't know how these side goals work. I've never heard one before. It's kind of why I'm surprised that you started with us.
because the others are already listed. Let me go. I should go ahead and read over them, I guess. For example, Ursi wants to find information on the thaumaturgy path, and this is the complication, the last known practitioner was a member of the Sabbat Tremere in Seattle before it fell to the Camarilla. So he's currently in talks with the Seattle Chantry about information for it. Artemis needs a new canvas. However, someone whose reputation he wants to manipulate for personal reasons. However, the complication is that because of events, he wants to lift someone up instead of ruining them, and because of his personal drive and perfectionism, self-desire for high standards, he wants a true underdog for that canvas. If it were easy, there would be no point. Well, Denny's gone, but we'll use his as well. He wanted to find his missing sire. Complication: the few traces he's found so far have clear indications of a cover-up.
I mean, I think that become a bully boy seems to be in concert with those goals. But what do I know?
All right then. Bagel, Artemis, Maisie, you two. Any complications you'd like to add to that goal?
Do we know who the... Sorry, go on.
No, you go. I was literally just saying I'm thinking.
I was going to ask, do we know who the other bully boys are?
Yes, there are
Hello.
3 of the vampire bully boys. There's a number of ghouls as well, but the actual official deputies tend to be the vampire ones. So, of those 3, you have Ursi. You have a rather spitfire petite gangrel named Roxy, and a rather off-putting Bruja by the name of Travis, I believe. Or wait, well, no, let me see names. Yeah, Travis Bullock, who Jack has actually met.
Travis is not keen on the idea of another Bruja being in the bully boys.
Interesting.
Ooh,
That's my
that was an
opinion.
angle I was not thinking of.
What were you thinking of, Bagel?
No, I'm still getting to that point, but I didn't think of that one. I was thinking something more around something not necessarily inside the actual bully boys, but that makes sense. That's a good one.
Well, if you are both in agreement, we will have Travis having some concerns. The foremost of them being he doesn't really want another Bruja, another dime a dozen Bruja, into that slot. That's his gig. All right. With the goal being, obviously, to become a bully boy, and presumably the understated goal, fitting into the bully boys, getting your own slot, so to speak. Becoming the bully boy is just step 1. Becoming a respected member that people recognize as a bully boy and proper deputy might very well be step 2.
Oh, Spring Meadows
Duly
is
noted.
the first area you come from.
Shoots,
Amethyst,
They're
shoots.
like, man, this
what
is a cool area.
is
So maybe I just
Maisie's
left the
side
world
goal?
map and went back in and acted like I've never seen this.
I have an overall one, but I know I was going to take
Until they
steps to
dropped
get
off the
there.
rope, I'm like, oh, this is
So,
totally
probably
weird.
gaining.
But this might be a way, maybe use one of those early steps for this, or use the whole thing. Either way, there will be complications.
Her end goal is to basically have a haven of sorts for
Thank you. It's hard to handle sometimes.
unwanted to be able to gather and not feel judged. So, probably gaining some sort of political power.
Define unwanted.
Katos, Thin Bloods, those who just don't feel like they fit in with their clans, etc.
No, no.
The detritus of kindred society.
Yep.
Alright. Ursi, Artemis, Jack. Any complications?
So her goal is to gain political power?
Essentially, yeah, to where she can open up a haven that's not full of politics and everyone can just kind of be themselves.
Someone gotten down these attacks.
All right. I have one. Your complication is you've stumbled upon a Sabbat Thinblood who desperately needs your help, and you have to spend political capital in order to make sure that they don't get murderized.
Wow.
Listen,
As in you know what I mean, like a shovel.
There's already not a
who
great
got-
track record of that in this city.
I know, that's kind of the point.
Yeah,
Like
that's-
the
No,
entire
I get it.
plot
Yeah.
line
I
is
think I do think this I think this base complication is actually pretty sweet. Any objections from Maisie? You found a
No.
thin blood or a shovelhead a runaway that you are currently trying to save, but you're also having to keep him hidden in the meanwhile because you have not the political capital in order to save him yet.
I mean, just pile it onto the shit show that she's already dealing with. It fits in her chaos.
All right, we will work out the details of that later. But presumably you have some sort of hidey hole to stash him that isn't your haven. Or he has some area
Yeah,
to
are we
he's hiding
still
out in.
are we still
if
doing
you
it
want me
like
to, I will write up this Thinblood, by the way. I am perfectly happy to do
no,
so.
no. I get that you're
I didn't say
perfectly happy to do so, but Dio, you have given me juicy morsel. I wish to sink my teeth into it myself.
Are we
that is
still
more
gonna-
than fair.
yeah. You've given him a gift.
I love
And,
story.
and
for it,
Maisie
I'll
a
make it.
headache because she's already got
There
one.
you go. Are we gonna be doing the thing where everybody gets a complication for each other person?
That's not a complication for each other person. That is a first meeting for each other person. I will get to that in a moment. Let me go ahead and
Okay. That makes sense.
let me go ahead and write these up. Okay, we have the goal for the goals. We have Jack wants to make Bully Boy, and presumably well,
Why do I have the option to attack Jar?
Ah, don't hit her. Alright, Jar, I'm attacking you. Fuck. Let's do this.
What are we waiting for?
I was just adding those into the written goals section in Blood and Boon, which I just finished with. Now we have first meetings. We skipped this for Jack because he was a fresh arrival into Miami. However, Miami is not the largest domain in terms of kindred population, and just by being here a couple of years, you usually have at least met everyone else, at least in passing, if not like in prolonged meeting. So we'll first go through Ursi and Artemis and have them each describe a time they've had a meeting with Maisie, and Maisie will do the same in reverse, creating 2 meetings each. Before we continue with this, I know you've already put it up into character introductions, but Amethyst, mind giving us a brief introduction to Maisie, as the others might know her?
Sure. So Maisie, she is Lysandra Entra, whatever. I'm not even going to butcher the word right now.
Teacher.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. But yeah, she's been around. She's mostly stays out of the politics if she can. Prefers to stay around her human and ghoul companion.
Needs politics, but hates politics.
Yeah, she tried getting away from that in her, human life, but it apparently just followed her. But yeah, no, she tends to spend time with her leash at Elysium. That's about the only
With
time.
her leash?
Her leash.
One of the requirements for the prince to grant her sire the rights of siring a child, thanks to politics, court play, and distrust for the Lasombra, meant that he basically gave her a Camarilla tutor and mentor alongside her sire, but one that she was basically bound to, who was teaching her how to be a proper Camarilla and also being her watchdog to ensure she didn't slip up or cause problems or just prove to be some sort of long-term spy for the Sabbat. This is in the timelines. Said individual is well known to those who have been in the city, aka everyone but Jack, as the Harpy, Jules Moreau.
Ah, Jules.
But
All right.
yep. So when she's not out hanging out with her ghoul and playing gigs and shit, she's with the Harpy doing her tutoring.
Yeah, beat Jar.
Okay.
Who would like to go first, Ursi or Artemis?
I think Artemis probably would have met Maisie when she was with her leash, as he had some kind of meeting with the Harpy to discuss something. I'll have to come back to you on that. And she would have been there probably playing the good little Camarilla role.
Okay, so you met Maisie at one point during a meeting with the Harpy, where he was basically both tutoring her and keeping an eye on her at the same time. All
Artemis
right,
was
Ursi.
probably his usual
go ahead.
charming self. So Artemis was probably his usually ingratiating, charming self with her.
Well, black, salt and pepper hair, silver fox, I believe, is what you summarize that as.
Yep.
And how has
Probably-
Ursi met Maisie? Oh, sorry, I don't mean to keep skipping you like
Sorry, mate, it's fine. I was going to say he probably had a very avuncular way of speaking to her. That's it, I'm done.
Question. You mentioned that Maisie wanted to do some stuff to protect, like, some of the outcasts of Kindred Society.
Yep.
Would she have ever been, accidentally caught doing that?
If she had,
Like,
she would
because
already
I'm
have-
actively a bully boy. So if we went after, if we were looking for a thin blood, would it make sense for me to have run into you that way?
I will say, I'm going to interrupt here. as a somewhat untrusted Lasombra anti-tribute. She is on a very short leash in terms of the laws, basically because of politics. If she had
That's
stood
right.
up in that manner, she would either be staked or outright executed. So, probably not.
Okay. Okay, then I think it's the other way. I think Ursi has also seen her at Elysium because while he doesn't go there for personal business like ever, he does go there relatively frequently due to his job as a bully boy. So I think he probably,
Perhaps Nora was at Elysium with you and was telling you to keep an eye on those two and pointed out Maisie and her sire.
Oh, look at
Who
this.
knows?
Whoa, that's creepy.
Who
yeah, I was
knows? The
thinking
ghost
maybe
of
it was
Bomb
one
the
of
city.
maybe Ursi had brought in a thin blood at the time and had done a handoff like we did a couple nights ago.
Perhaps. Seen as part of the
I
system,
know what
then.
you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think he was seen outside of his
It's been so
job.
long since I played through that one.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think Ursi met Maisie while he was actively doing
Like,
work as a
isn't
bully boy,
Vincent wind up being Titus
and it
Android?
probably happened in or around Elysium.
All right then. Maisie,
Yeah.
how have you met Artemis? Aside from the meeting we've already described of Artemis meeting you.
Right, okay.
Hmm. Good question.
I think like Sir Orion knew that.
Give me a second. Gotta think.
I felt like so.
Artemis, care to give? I mean, Rob, care to give us a very brief synopsis of Artemis's character?
Yeah, he's a dapper, well-groomed, well-heeled gentleman. He more of a patron of the arts than a artist in the strictest sense of the word. Well known around Elysium, but he also spends time in some of the clubs and bars around the city. They're his main kind of feeding grounds, but he also likes to pretend that at least he's keeping an ear to the ground for new artists.
He knows people.
Yeah, he's the most likely member of the group to say, I might know a guy.
Fair. Maisie might have seen him at one of these bars. Maybe when she was doing a gig.
Ah, yes, Velburn.
It was just so sad.
That would, other than being in Elysium, that'd probably be the only other logical time she would have seen Artemis.
Brief description of Velburn then, when that's the music style, because it's relevant to the meeting.
Velburn is an alt new metal grunge band.
Yeah,
Ooh, sounds like something Jack would listen to.
right.
Probably, actually. I've heard your playlist.
It is.
I have shared a playlist for Maisie, so roughly like what that music sounds like would be them. A lot of Korn, some Slipknot, and such.
Ooh, Jack approves.
Nice.
They are from the Midwest, so they're a Midwest band that moved to Miami.
Shoots.
So you met Artemis once when he was in one of his dive bar, but probably still dressed to the nines because he's Artemis, and listening to the latest music hitting the grunge scene, I suppose.
Ah, yes, this reminds me of Slipknot. He's only ever read the word, he's never heard it said.
But he's good at being a social chameleon enough to pretend.
This game is familiar to a very underrated gem. I swear.
Macy, how have you met Ursi,
Residents
the towering mountain of a man bully boy?
an amazing
Probably
game.
at Elysium, and she was
True
probably
story,
just
but
shocked at how
the
damn
premise
tall
of
he
it is
was.
so cool.
An honest first
Fair.
impression, yes.
Gods that like kind of control fate that they don't know really too much about other
Very fair.
She probably felt a little intimidated by his height, because he's like 2 feet taller than her.
7.5
Damn.
feet tall, yes.
I've completed Resonance like
Okay,
3
well, with
times,
that,
so I've gotten all like the hidden
I
things.
guess I'll go, unless there's another thing going on, I'll go ahead and get us into our recap as we begin session 5. Sorry for the delay, but have to get those things done, at least in my design preference.
Resonance of Fate.
Previously, on Miami by Night,
It's very, very good.
the trio of Artemis,
Strong.
Jack, and Ursi find themselves in Hialeah rail yard. They pass the fences, avoided the camera network, somewhat shoddy that it is, and investigate what they readily believe to be Rail Line 3.
I can't
Bodies in
remember its name,
barrels,
but
footprints in the dirt,
it's
and more than a
I
few
love
bits
doing
of
it.
particularly chosen
Just
graffiti.
talking about it.
Their
Really
attention now turns to the security shack, where they hope to get a little bit more in the way of hard evidence. Well, at least 2 of them do. Jack's more than a little hesitant in lieu of the camera above the door.
a lot of
Ursi thinks he
comedy
can
to it
take
too.
care of the
Yeah,
footage
like
once they are
I
inside,
really
and
love
Artemis
doing
confidently
cameras.
says
Like
not to worry
there's
about
some
the
YouTubers that
guard,
are
he
like
has a way with
professional
words.
cameras, but in
Despite
like
Jack's flatly
the
declared
RPG
distrust and disagreement,
genre
Artemis begins
aspect.
walking to the shack in the open, Ursi right behind after a quip. Jack hangs back to avoid the camera in case anything goes down. Artemis will, upon reaching the door, give a knock,
It's so
prompting the
cool.
guard
You
inside to
can use
answer.
like guns, so
At the
guns
first
are
instant,
like
the
one
guard
thing,
almost takes them for intruders, before
but
ultimately
it's very
believing they are inspectors, but
ability-esque,
does
like
ask to see
this.
their papers. Artemis
It's
turns
hard
on
to
the
explain.
vampiric
It's just
charm,
it's
and
a
no, the guard doesn't
game.
really need to see their papers. The guard quickly falls over himself to be hospitable to the 2 of them. His name badge reads Steve. Artemis notes before getting himself and Ursi invited into the camera room. They also learn that Steve is only part-time, and a coworker takes care of things most nights, but not tonight. A guy named Jonas,
Oh,
apparently,
that's so
who was here the night before and will be tomorrow night. After distracting the man out of the cramped room, Ursi goes to work rewinding the tapes of the previous night. The footage, grainy and low quality though it is, and lacking audio, shows a train pulling through Line 3 before detaching 2 tanker cars and continuing on. A total of 13 people begin arriving, one group carrying a staked individual. The seeming leader, a possibly scarred woman, it's hard to tell, appears to yell something before banging her fist on one of the cans. The video ripples in a strange way, and the tanker cars vanish and are replaced with boxcars, with a dashing fox on the side. Doors are slit open, and out of them emerge a concealed feminine figure and a flamboyant-seeming man who is laughing off the scarred woman's irritation. The others gather to begin helping out a number of dazed-looking individuals out of the second boxcar, one of whom attempts to flee before a whip of shadow lashes around his feet and drags him face down across the gravel to the scarred woman's feet. Afterwards, with the new arrivals gathered and forced on their way, the stake is pulled from the captive's chest and a mockery of a trial begins, and ends with a fresh stake shoved into his
okay.
heart by way of the sternum, seemingly more for show than anything else. He is then promptly broken into a barrel and lit on fire. Ursi copies the appropriate video over onto a series of floppy disks, before trying to go through and delete any footage that could be construed as a masquerade breach, both from last night and any potential video of the coterie tonight. In the process, he realizes that despite the guard mentioning the footage could be rewound for at least a week or 2, that the machine shows signs of frequent deletion, and namely they can't find any footage from before last night. After ejecting the disks, Ursi turns off the camera outside the shack for the next several minutes to allow them to leave. Once regrouped, Jack asks about either of their ability with Dominate, raising a fair fuss about the lack of erasing the guard's memories. While a valid concern, unfortunately the ability to alter or remove memories requires more than just a little skill in Dominate, and none of the 3 have it. After they have removed themselves from the rail yard, Ursi shares what he saw on the footage on their way to the vehicles. They briefly discuss where to go. Ursi initially planned on heading to Elysium and forcibly requisitioning the VIP room, while Jack objects, understandably wanting to avoid irritating Keeper Rory more than necessary, and offers his haven as an alternative. Coterie agrees, but neither Artemis nor Ursi are quite prepared for the literal manner that was said haven.
Oh shit!
A maid waits inside, and Jack quickly informs of their purpose here and the planned use of the office. She advises against it, saying the office is a mess. He tells her to clean it, but she refuses, reminding him that he has made it very clear that she is not to unnecessarily disturb the child, for reasons. prompting Jack to ask if she's in the office, which the maid confirms before departing to clean the pool as instructed, at least until she is called back for something else. As Jack tells the others they can take a look around while he sees what's going on with his child, and does instruct the maid to show them around before cleaning the pool, and after some inquiries, escorts them to the sitting room. Looking into the office, Jack finds papers covering the ground, covered in various styles and qualities of drawings, Anastasia in the middle. His child holds out one, a fox holding a hand of cards, 5 aces, before picking up the most of the scattered papers and hurriedly making her way for a room as instructed by Jack. After a short conversation, she crosses in front of the sitting room doorway, prompting Ursi to see a child-sized flash of blonde and Artemis to get a good proper-looking fool as she does so. Once the three of them convene in the office, a somewhat tense conversation ensues regarding Anastasia and her status as a child versus child, emphasis on the E or lack thereof, and eventually leading Jack to quickly admit that he didn't turn her, only that he adopted her in order to prevent her execution by his previous prince, and that she's very much only a year into her vampirism, and that the story gets much worse, deeper than that, or, to quote Grizzled Jack directly, it's like stepping in shit, and then realizing that shit is filled with nails. Each one of those nails is rusted. Now you have tetanus and shit in your bloodstream. And yeah, it was probably on fire.
I said that.
Yes, you did. Nursey did ask, is it on fire too? And you did said, yeah, probably. uh, hmm. Ursi, disgusted, moves to set up his laptop as a means of poorly distracting himself. Jack shares the name of Anastasia's real sire, Grigory Malkov. Talk turns to Anastasia's drawings, and Ursi inquiring as to whether or not she's one of those Malkavians, those among the clan blessed or cursed with some amount of oracular ability. And finally, as Artemis wonders aloud about the foxes they saw earlier in the rail yard, it kind of starts to click. Jack, privately, maybe realizing that keeping the girls safe could be more difficult than previously believed. Common are the tales of oracular vampires coveted for their gifts, or destroyed for fear of them. Meanwhile, Ursi begins playing the footage, pointing things out even as Jack hyper-focuses on one grainy face in particular, the flamboyant man, who he recognizes from a mortal investigation. He's never heard the man's full name, but knows one of them is Vlakos. Ursi begins connecting the dots and the similarities of this Vlakos and the fox in Anastasia's drawings. Artemis, after examining those drawings, still present in the room, asks to see Jack's child in hopes of seeing the rest. Eventually, the two of them head to Anastasia's room, but not before Artemis and Ursi get a look at Malkov's picture, which immediately, oddly and unnervingly, captivates the Toreador, to the weirding out of both Ursi and Jack. It takes a moment, and a head pat, for Jack to let Anastasia in on why he and Artemis are there, even as the child vampire hides all but her head behind the door initially. Eventually, though, she does come out just a little bit more to hold out a paper for Artemis, stretching on her tippy toes to avoid being nearer than necessary. Artemis, against all odds, manages to relax Anastasia ever so slightly, which is a very, very strong improvement over how she normally reacts around new people. And Artemis does eventually take the paper, showing a woman he knows being stabbed in the back by himself, who is in turn stabbed by another man he also knows behind him. Jack recognizes the face of the second man as one of those at the Primogen meeting from earlier tonight. Eventually, at Artemis's prodding, the girl fetches the other drawings. Once returned to the other room, the three of them continue replaying the footage and discussing plans. Plans involving the prince and getting proper backup, as otherwise they would be quite outnumbered, or at least putting together a proper report and submitting to the sheriff. Meanwhile, Artemis has been examining the artwork, leaving the discussion of the details of the future plans to the other two. He manages to discern at least two separate stories. One about a fox on all fours with a bright red scarf evading hunters with a mocking grin. It's a bit odd going from image to image, as while the quality is quite good, the assorted tools used to draw each bit of art are seemingly randomly determined from each separate page with no pattern. Another about a fox playing a final gambit of cards, a handful of tricks. Artemis highlights these things, and the trio speak of their plans going forward. Percy suggests, and they ultimately agree, to keep the source, Anastasia, removed from the investigation, and by extension the Jihad. Percy is also putting together a report for the sheriff, and questioning whether any of them want something requisitioned, which leads to Jack introducing them to his armory, and Artemis being incredibly picky about what sort of wood the stock of his lone shotgun should be. seeming to gripe about having to break out his fall wardrobe early in order to match the oak. As they prepare to adjourn for the night, Artemis gets a call from Denny's number. It's Gary, Denny's ghoul. Apparently something bad is happening and Denny is in trouble. Following only a brief discussion, the trio departs for the address given by Gary. They find the man propping himself up behind a dumpster. He's a bloodied mess, but directs them to Denny's haven down the sewers. Once in the sewers, you hear it well before you get to your destination. A furious cursing rage being hurled about, echoing down the sewer tunnels with more than a few meaty thwacks. Down another trapdoor into Denny's haven, after a very poorly attempted attempt at being stealthy, which Ursi fumbles, reveals a figure recognized by Artemis and Ursi as Gutterjack, kicking the steel corpse of someone that's not Denny, nor Nosferatu, while Denny's lying face down across the room. Denny is quickly revealed to be dead, final dead, and after a tense first meeting, Gutterjack explains he had given the younger Nos a job to do earlier that night, matching the message that had been passed to the coterie at the start of the night by Rory, but had returned to find the corpse he's been kicking standing over Denny's body and digging through his things. Gutterjack claims to have attacked the interloper in a rage, and seems quite upset that Denny is dead. The coterie investigate, but Gutterjack's story in the room itself, both Gutterjack's story in the room itself, and come to a somewhat varied set of opinions and clues, including that Gutterjack is apparently completely unaware of dental identification, as it turns out. Several clues are put together. A single sticky note in the complete absence of other sticky notes, hidden under Denny's keyboard. A message reading trains not the only influx. I think he might be involved. A purposeful destruction of tech, mostly by way of claws. A wallet with cash, but no ID on the body of the killer alongside a key, slightly too small to be a car key. What might be a map on Denny's body. Keep calling him Dennis. Jack discerns 3 letters, MGJ, in the scratched portion of the note. Between the two of them, Mercy and Jack managed to find 3 undamaged storage devices, but no telling what, if anything, might be on them. Artemis and Ursi head for the surface, but feeling cut deep in different ways about Denny's death, while Jack spends a little longer in the haven. Something's rubbing him wrong, and the more he lingers, the more obvious the scene seems cleaned by someone. He's reasonably confident that Gutterjack didn't kill Denny, and that the anger he displayed towards the unidentified corpse was genuine, and of some sort of personal note, but there is undoubtedly something more than a bit shifty going on. Jack hands a piece of paper to both Artemis and Ursi, relaying these findings of his and his beliefs regarding Gutterjack and evidence erasure, among other things. And as they think on things, Ursi checks on Gary, finding him passed out, and quickly feeds the ghoul some of his own vitae to stabilize him. With this, the trio splits. Ursi to his haven with Gary in tow. He needs to finish a report for the sheriff. A report alone would probably not suffice for anything more than getting the ball rolling. Probably be summoned to a meeting after he awakens. Artemis to his own haven, with the picture of an absolute bastard to stare at until the day sleep takes him. Jack, in turn, heads to Elysium in a late-night last meeting with the sheriff. Somehow what lays out parts of the investigation so far, but largely focuses on his disgruntlement with the relative greenhorn being in charge and the way he handles things, or fails to handle them, in his view. He petitions for himself to be placed in the position of leadership of the investigation instead, and is denied. The sheriff cites politics, of course, but regardless of the reason, Jack finds himself stonewalled. Ultimately, however, moon gives way to sun before giving way to moon again as a new night sets in. Each of you may regain 1 willpower and subtract 1 blood.
Alrighty.
Indeed. Now, we do have some awakenings to go through tonight. Normally in this game, I think I will try and move towards a little bit after awakenings, but here in a night-to-night scenario, and introducing a new character, they will remain. We begin with the highest humanity. Humanity 10, or the cheat codes faking thereof. Yes, I'm going to make cheat code references to you, just like I do Alvin in the Seattle game.
Son of a
Deal with
bitch.
Maisie.
The beauty of it.
Maisie. Is it pronounced Maisie, or am I just completely fucking that up?
It's Maisie.
Okay. Good to know. But we have places to be. We begin not an oddly proportioned cabin, nor a PR firm, nor even a swanky mansion. Maisie, for a creature of darkness and night as you are now, it's been a little weird always awakening early enough to catch the last glimmer of light as it dips beneath the horizon. You can't actually look at it, mind you, at least not until it's practically gone. Taunts you in a way, though, reminding you of something you can't quite get back. At least you're getting better at ignoring that taunt, you think. How are you feeling this evening?
Loon's like all cautious. Careful, just now. Don't touch the doorknob. It could be red hot.
She's really just it's another night, just trying to get through it. She's
Well, as you come to, you do hear the sounds of cooking in the kitchen.
she'll head into the
Oh, I
kitchen.
got sucked into that door like there was no
In the kitchen is, of course, your ghoul, your retainer, and other things besides.
watching me?
One Lex Calder. He seems exhausted, like he hasn't slept. Sometimes he doesn't. Ah, hey, Maze.
You're sick.
What you cooking, Lex?
Oh, we're in a pretty mansion. It's
Noodles, stuff. Hey, got a message earlier.
Is this the paintress's mansion?
We have company later. The flat way he says company only seems to indicate one thing to you. That your sire will be included in said company. Uninvited company generally only means one of two people, and the second one has never evoked quite the same response in Lex like your sire.
So this game is so cool.
Fuck. Okay. Did he say what he wanted or no?
I didn't speak to him. Message came during the day from his, well, I guess his me? Which is disgusting to think about.
Aw, it's okay, Lex.
Sorry. Been a rough day, rough week.
She'll give him a hug. I understand, buddy.
Well, thanks. Normally, he's kind of all for the added physical affection, but right now he's either too exhausted or is too off-put by what's coming later in just a bit. Well, let me get this finished up and we can get started on you, okay? Hey, guess.
No rush. Just take care of yourself, please.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting. You're getting hit
And
over
Lex,
One of the downsides of being a little sombra, well, you can't see your reflection. So as your ghoul, one of his primary jobs is get your appearance ready for each night.
Character. Like right now, Loon's health is 301.
Good
and
lord,
Stav's at
quiet.
153. Stav's my frick healer.
she'll go off and sit on the counter while he cooks. Just kind of watch him.
It's nothing fancy. It's quite probably literally Maruchan instant ramen noodles. But he's never been the pickiest when it comes to food. Especially not when he's possibly hungover. Considering that he has to keep nocturnal hours, his happy hour is in the morning sometime, probably.
Was there anything else that happened while I was out?
No such, unfortunately. Would have been great if we got a gig. But no.
Nothing from Jude either?
Jules.
No, Jude, the
No.
drummer.
Oh, Jude the drummer. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Nah, nothing yet. He said he was going to check around a few places. Somewhere we haven't been yet. But, no such luck.
It's a big city. We'll get there.
Unspoken, unsaid, is that he probably thinks that you could get them a gig pretty easily, but he also doesn't want you to go through the things you do to get a gig, namely speaking through certain people. Less here, the better. But ultimately, time proceeds, goes forward. The meal is made, it's eaten. Not by you, though. You can't really enjoy such things anymore, and it'd be torture to put yourself through it. But, do watch him eat, and at this point, it's been a few years, he's somewhat used to it. Before you ultimately make your way to the bathroom with one of the few mirrors in the house, where he goes about, taking care of your hair and any makeup you want or don't want on you. It may be 4 years now, but it's still weird not being able to see your reflection. You still try occasionally by habit before realizing that no, you can't. Maybe this is what actual performers feel like before they go on stage, where they have other people doing their hair and their makeup and their necessities for appearance.
Yeah, they'll still die, but they're just stand.
But ultimately,
Smile.
time does pass, and you hear the front door opening. Your front door opens with nary a knock. After all, as a tall, dark, and in Lex's eyes, most unwelcome individual enters your haven like he owns it. Considering that he feels like he owns you, and it's probably the truth. Oop. He has eyes only for you, and generally ignores Lex entirely, as is often his custom. Ah, Starlet, how are you tonight?
Rael, I'm doing fine. How are you?
You must be real. You smell like assholes. It is you.
Well, very well. Tonight might be the first big night. That big break I've been trying to arrange for you. Not the musical one, sadly. We would
I
have
just
to
had
see
really
others
good
about
style.
that.
So I don't know if you could
What
beat that
kind
girl
of big
jogging
break?
party member who's dead now.
Well, I know it's been somewhat rough getting your foot in the door, but with certain
Oh, okay.
grievances against our blood.
Oh
Hmm.
shit.
But perhaps tonight shall be the start of a chance
Are
to
these all
properly
forms
shine
of
your own
Gestahl?
light. Like the star you are.
What?
Politics.
Somewhat, actually, but also not. As you know, it's always both.
Forms of Gestahl, like the old man, this thing that I just saw.
Some sort of investigative thing going
Yeah.
on, but
Yeah.
one that's taking all manner of volunteers,
He's even wearing the same
often
clothes
without
that
asking
Gestahl was wearing. That's
questions.
so weird.
And
Yeah,
if
he
someone
switched.
that arrives in the city freshly just 2 or 3 nights ago can get in, well, it shouldn't be much trouble to get you in either.
It's like baking, like they're like
What?
Captain Harlock type. I don't know if you know that, but I don't know if you know that show.
What was it I said that was so hard to
Very
understand,
old
Stylet?
anime, but really good.
Just there's
But
I'm
in a
keeping my
sense,
mouth
Captain
shut.
Harlock, he's not
I
really
really would
evil.
rather you air any
He's a
concerns
reincarnation
or
of one of Vader's
misunderstandings you have
favorite
now when we're in
guys,
private,
but he's stuck
just
in
the
a
two of
time loop
us,
where his
again,
future self
ignoring
always
Lex,
goes to find his
and
young
I
self and
can
recruit him onto his
correct
group
them
and train him to
without
train
any fallout.
him.
There's no issues. I hate politics.
Well, unfortunately, politics are in your future forever.
Yeah,
Believe me, you can't really escape them wherever you go.
yeah.
Weird things.
Part of the ivory tower. I get it.
And he
Well,
always wanted to fight my
speaking from personal past and history, the Sabbat ain't any different. It's just more messy and monstrous in how they go about it. I chose my path, the lesser of two evils, when I had the chance. Less messy of two evils, I suppose.
Thank whatever god's out there for that.
You would not have fit well amongst the sword. The waste that would have been. In any case, we should, in fact, be expecting company at some point, I do believe. After all, it will take connections beyond mine to get this done, and sometimes we do have a tendency to agree on things. Your front door is again disturbed, but this time someone has the decency to knock.
Maisie's gonna go answer it.
Of course you do. Opening it reveals another familiar face, to this one far more, I guess, friendly. Good evening, Shah. Might you be a dear and let Papa Jules inside?
Jules! Yeah, come in!
Thank you,
Yeah.
dear. Thank you. Ah, Lex, good to see you too. As always, one stark difference between him and your sire is he actually greets your ghoul when they meet. He doesn't go out of his way to beat him, but he doesn't hide from him or pretend he doesn't exist either. Hmm. So what has dear Mr. Marov talked to you about night, Shah?
Mm-hmm.
That there's an opportunity
I really
for me
think
to be
there's
involved in
there's
some stuff.
fuckery going on with this stuff. Which is cool. Like, they would be really cool.
Sorry, I got distracted by general chat.
Nope, you're good.
As it turns out, there is something of a thing going on. I'm sure you've heard it even with the limited time you spend at Elysium, even if I have to drag you there. Really, really shy. You really ought to be there a bit more often. Papa Jules could introduce you to so many more people. Help correct so many misgivings.
I know. I need to be there more, but I got my band I gotta
Maybe
take
if
care of too.
Well, maybe if you came more often, Papa Jules might even gain enough clout, or be willing to spend enough clout, to make the Keeper see things our way and get yourself a private performance. Or maybe something up on the stage in the club itself on a slow night.
Oh,
Really gotta work with me, Shah.
there's so many things
Fine.
running through my mind about this game.
I will work with you.
Excellent! I look forward to that in the future. Don't break us such promises now. You know how I get about broken promises. You make me so sad.
And we don't want you sad.
Wonderful. Well, I don't know quite where they are at things, but currently there's a team of sorts investigating the Stark Grease in masquerade breaches, random unidentified kindred poured into our city, that sort of thing. Yeah, there are a lot of people concerned about that, and for good reason, dear. Or Shaw, sorry. Hmm.
Oh, look at Noko. That little tiny thing.
Sorry, you totally tripped me up on that.
Oh, Well, now, normally, currently, I don't know exactly where they are at in this investigation of theirs, but I do know entries are still open. And that, for you, Jules can make a call and get you in it easier than sweet potato pie.
Well, from the sounds of it, politically speaking, I guess I need to. So, not that investigating's my thing, but I'm more into music and English, but fuck it.
Make me a wits politics roll, DC 6.
Oh boy.
Your specialty does not apply.
Dice. And I gotta make them, of course.
You don't have any of your rolls from Seattle in here.
No. Wits what?
Wits politics.
Ah, fuck. Politics. Difficulty 6.
Difficulty 6.
She's getting her way. That's
or successes. Unsaid, but not unheard, you know that you will owe your keeper a favor in turn for this. Every lesson he's ever given you on the topic tells you that. Him not outright saying it is more a test than anything else.
Okay.
So, when are they meeting?
Oh, I don't know that yet. Tonight, absolutely. But don't you worry about that. Jules can find out when and where, and can tell you who you need to meet, and who you need to impress.
Holy shit. You got
All right, just let me know what I owe you.
It's not a matter of what, but when, I'm sure. Besides, Papa Jules does need to test that new stereo system he hooked up the other night. But I will get back to you soon. Meantime, though, you should prepare while I go and make a call. And with that, we will be moving on. And to the PR firm of Wheeler and Locke. Or, rather, a single panic room inside. Artemis, you awaken, safe and secure, within the confines of your panic room haven at Wheeler and Locke. Things are moving fast, perhaps faster than you'd like, and at least one ghost from your past has already come knocking. At least it's only the one. But tonight you may very well be in life-threatening danger before the end. How do you feel?
Artemis is actually beginning to feel a little hungry.
Oh, absolutely. You haven't really fed in the last couple of nights. It's
No.
not exactly easy nights either.
On the bedside table next to the bed in his panic room where he spends his days, he picks up the photograph of the kindred he was looking at last night and stares at it for a few moments.
The absolute bastard. Grigory Malkov.
Artemis makes a mental note that he needs to go to his storage facility and pull out some of his files and add this individual to his special file.
They're already at half-mast.
The way you talk about does sound like you're talking about your special favorites from your Playboy collection. Or some shit. In any case, I will also be, just for the heck of it, I will be pinning Grigory Malkov's picture in the general chat. So it's easy to find. For whatever dastardly purposes you come up for with it.
Yep, Locke will...
I forgot he looked like that. I completely forgot. The man who is worth every every point of ire looks like fucking that.
What's
Just
wrong
the
with
most
his picture?
he's the most most bog standard. I am definitely not an evil priest. I'm 100% an evil priest.
My the inverse ratio of cross size to evilness.
Yeah, we are not changing that picture. That picture fits perfectly, and I love it.
The glowing red eyes.
Where did he pose for this picture? That's what I want to know.
It's like an underground dirt wall. He's like actively putting someone in a grave.
That might not be too far from the truth.
Actually, looking at where his hands are, he's probably peeing on someone in a grave. And
Ah.
maintaining eye contact with the photographer while he does it.
Oh God.
You know what? Knowing him, that would not be out of character.
Congratulations, Dio. You have made a character that people love to hate.
Well, certainly that's half true in Artemis's case.
Artemis has weird tastes.
Damn you, you beautiful, evil bastard. I'll come back to you later. And he'll throw the photo onto his bedside table and then approaches. He has a little miniature walk-in wardrobe inside the panic room, and he'll select his clothing for the day. Probably something understated in a gentle pastel colour. And then head out.
Lilac,
And then,
perhaps.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, very soft, nice soft purple. He'll pick a matching silk scarf and pocket square. Check in the mirror to make sure he's looking good. He's always looking good. There's no need to check, but he does it anyway.
Also, somewhere in here is probably a shotgun you were loaned recently.
Oh, you're a big.
That's probably leaning up against the bedside table.
That oak does not match anything in your summer wardrobe.
I'm only glad nobody can see it here. I would never live it down. And then I head out into his office.
Any immediate appointments for tonight, or is this going to be a slower night?
This will be a slower night. He probably needs to feed.
Do you wish to be a lazy boy about it, or perhaps plan a time later in the evening, hopefully where you can convince the others that you should restock?
Well, I do have a herd, so probably on this first occasion, Artemis will be lazy about it.
How many points of blood do you wish to draw from your herd?
Let me go to my count sheet. What are the rules around herd? Because it's been a while since I've played Vampire.
There's the rules in the book. You get barely anything from herd, beyond it being easy, automatic, and no necessary risk of failure unless you're basically starving. I'm a little bit more generous with it. So I mean, as long as you give them time to properly regrow blood, and per the book, they regen their blood points at a rate of 1 per night per person. Now,
So I have a herd of 1 dot. I believe that's a herd of 3 people.
3-ish
is that
people.
right?
Yeah, the
So
night shift, basically.
Can I take a blood from each of them?
Certainly.
Okay. And Artemis will do that.
Though you
Gwendolyn,
do
would
try,
you-
you try and avoid feeding on them every night, as Artemis doesn't like to get too lazy.
No.
Also,
Do we have an appointment this evening?
Not yet, though you may be hearing something from Ursi soon. You only know they plan to send a report to the sheriff. You haven't heard
So-
back from that yet.
Artemis will check his mail, check his messages with Gwendolyn, just to see if anything's come in from any of his various investigations that are going on at the moment.
Oh, certainly, certainly. Nothing yet, but however, your phone does begin to ring, and yes, it is the special one.
Artemis will stare at it, let it ring 3 or 4 times, and then very nonchalantly pick it up. This is Locke, go ahead.
Artemis! It's Jules. How does my
Jules.
favorite fellow Rose be doing?
Jules, you handsome bastard, how the hell are you? I haven't seen you for a while. How are things?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Got a break in that new sound system I talked about the other night. It was lovely. Should have been there. Maybe I
I'll
should
look
invite
forward-
you next time.
I'll look forward to it.
What musical stylings do you prefer these nights?
Well, as you know, Jules, I am a little bit of a classical music head, but I try and keep my ear to the ground with the modern things that the kids are listening to. Just recently started getting to something called sludge metal. Have you heard of it?
I have not.
I think you may like it. I'll see
Is
if I
it
can put
terribly
together
delightful or delightfully terrible?
Oh, much more the latter, I think.
We'll have to try that out sometime. In any case, I do hope you remember that favor you owe me, as Papa Jules is cashing in.
Jules, you sly old bastard. Of course I remember. I never forget a debt, especially not from a friend as good as you. What exactly can I do for you?
Oh,
I've got a girl. needs her foot in the door. And I thought to myself, who better than Artemis Locke, my favorite people person of a fellow Rose, to help her out?
Any friend of yours is a friend of mine, Jules.
Shit.
I'm sure you remember her. Maisie's her name. That little somber shadowed child.
The blonde.
I believe that's how she currently goes, yes.
Yes, I remember her. Charming young lady, as I recall. Unfortunate about her clan issues, but I'm sure we can do something for her.
Yes, well, she does need to get on with establishing herself, and moving away from all that dreadful clan business.
Battles?
And I thought, since this open investigation is going on, it might make quite the
Okay.
good appeal of her better character. Especially if she had a proper guiding hand like yours.
Jules, you are as perceptive as you are kind. It would be an excellent way for her to come into the family, so to speak. I'd be delighted to help.
Where and when might she meet with you tonight?
Well, I think Ursi is supposed to be calling me with a meet-up this evening, but I'm sure we'll end up in Elysium at some point, so that may be a good place to start.
Elysium, then. Shall I assume the Velvet Eclipse, the lounge, or the club itself?
Let's say the lounge. See how she deports herself getting into that place.
Wonderful, wonderful. Talk to you again at soon. We have to set up that music night.
I will look forward to it.
And click.
Can't wait till next week's plans.
Now we know how you comport yourself, but how are you feeling?
Okay.
Artemis would stare at the phone for a few long minutes.
We were talking about.
There are regrets
He said he
about
only does
promising a favour to Jules. This is another layer of responsibility to add on top of the one that he already has with Ursi and these investigations. But he's nothing if not pragmatic. Gwendolyn, I'm going to need to head out for a few hours. Please hold my calls.
Yes, Mr. Locke. Do you know how long you'll be gone?
I'm afraid I don't. Would you get Stefan to come around with the car, please?
Of course, sir. And Stefan, quiet this night, thankfully, does pull around with the car.
Artemis will climb into the back. Good evening, Stefan.
Evening,
Would
sir.
you take me to my club, please?
Of course, sir. And as you pull off, we will move the
I hope so.
scene to that oddly proportioned cabin in the woods.
Do I not have early riser?
No, you have light sleeper,
No.
Ooh.
which is what
Which one
allows
you
you
gave
to
me
wake
early
up easier if
riser?
you're being attacked during the day.
Yeah.
A valuable one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think looking up and down is a little easier than going left to right.
Ursi.
Hmm.
You awaken in your cabin, and two details are immediately clear as you open your eyes. One is the figure of a man slumped in a chair. The other, your enhanced senses quickly spot the blinking red light next to the phone. Voicemail.
Hmm. Ursi would definitely get up, check, make sure that I forgot his name isn't dead. Denise
Ah,
Gould. Well,
yes, the
once
figure in the
Denise
chair is
Gould.
indeed Gary Miller, Denny's former ghoul, whom you saved last night after he passed out. His face seems to be passing between nervous, confused, upset, and uncertain at rushed but irregular intervals. Oh, you're awake. Did you find Denny? Well, where is he?
Hmm. You're gonna. Well, no, you're already sitting down. Is he in my room or are we in the main room now? Like
He
the.
was in your room. He was apparently waiting on you to wake up. Kind of
All right.
stalker, but whatever.
Uh, he'll motion him to actually. Yeah, he'll motion him to get up and come to the living room first, and then have him sit down on the couch. I gotta check something real quick, and then we'll have a brief talk. There's non-perishables in the cupboard for the very rare instances that I have one of you over.
Okay.
Also,
And
uh,
he kind of
don't
goes about as
go
you
into
mentioned.
the attic. If you try to go into the attic, bad things will happen that I cannot stop. Well, I mean, I could, but it'd take a long time, and I'm not going to.
Right, now going in the attic.
As the attic has a anti-ghoul ward.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah. Uh, and then he is going to, once he is in the other room, Ursi's going to close his door and check that voicemail.
The voicemail contains the voice of your sheriff and boss, Nora Fletcher. Oh, see? Elysium, now you have your report to go over. Click. Simple, short, and she's irritated about something.
Okay. Yep. Ursi double checks his coat, then walks out into the main room with Gary. Um, you're not my preferred. Okay. Hey, Gary, come over here.
What? Okay, okay.
Come over here.
He comes over
And
there.
then Ursi's going to grab him like on the shoulder, chest ish, with his large hand, and
Mhm.
lift him up to feed a little bit because he is getting pretty close to very hungry.
All right, then. What is your blood pool currently
I
at?
don't think so.
Uh, it should be at I think 5.
No, no.
Oh, you are very low. Goodness. Well, in that case, I will need a self-control from
Yeah,
you. Difficulty 5.
and that's just flat self control.
Yep.
All right. Difficulty 5.
Mm-hmm. Well, you get enough
Uh,
successes to keep yourself from exsanguinating him, so goody for you. How much do you take? You know he doesn't have that much blood in him, saying he was bleeding out last night.
um, enough that he's like just conscious. Like I don't want to kill him, but I'm very hungry.
You can take 1, then.
Okay, one
2
will
would
do.
probably put him unconscious. Easily.
Yeah, then I won't make him go unconscious. Um, once I'm done feeding, I'll put him down and I'll say, Denis dead. You're staying here till I get back. Simple as that. I gotta do some processing stuff.
He's
I'll
too
be back.
lightheaded to question you. Otherwise, he would probably have a fair few. In any case, you set off. But there is someone else that awakens at the same time as you do, so we will cover that really quick before we move on to your meeting with Nora. Because that might take some time.
Understandable.
Which does bring us over to Jack and a certain manner.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, where in this manner that you've inherited from dear Grigory Malkov do you catch your day's sleep?
The master bedroom.
Extra thick curtains, other
Mm-hmm.
general daylight proofing?
Yep.
Well, as you go through your evening habituals, and what are those? What do you generally do after first getting up?
Um,
Enjoying it?
check my voicemail, see if I
We're
got any
doing
calls.
awakenings right now.
What the fuck is that?
awakenings?
None present at the moment.
Where you get
No.
up? It's a new night?
You're still in Awakenings.
Yes, we're out in the forest
It's been
first.
an
I'll probably call Artemis
yes,
and
but we
Ursi
had
then.
to do my introduction of my character. Yeah.
So long
Hmm.
sitting
I don't know. I don't know how
Okay,
long it's going
then.
to take.
Ursa, you get the call while driving. Artemis, you get the call wherever it is you are, in the back of your car.
Is this a conference call or individual?
Fuck it, conference call. I think those are a thing in the 90s.
I think so. You could have multiple people on one line.
Your multiple keywords.
Yep. Time to fact check that. Conference calls were invented in 1956 by Bell Labs, which was the research arm of U.S. Telecom's giant AT&T.
Yep.
The first
All right.
the first conference call was made in 1964 during the New York World Fair, where delegates could speak to visitors in Disneyland in California. This invention, known as the picture phone, allowed users to connect to the same call by dialing a particular number. So, yeah, by the 90s there is in fact conference calls. Yes.
Cool, I'm a conference call.
And then he's going to answer his phone. Yep.
Does Artemis also answer?
Yeah, there's a after you click, you just hear this is Locke. Go ahead.
Right, I was just trying to figure out when the hell we're meeting today. My place is available for meeting as usual. I'd rather not piss off Rory again.
Regrettably, I have a previous engagement in Elysium, so I'm currently on my way.
If
After
you have a
that,
previous engagement in Elysium, might as well meet there. I'm going to be on my way. I'm on my way there anyways as well.
you sure that's a good idea? He did tell us that he was going to remember every single time we spent in Elysium, in his territory, and he was going to do something about it after our investigation was done.
That was if we.
Do you?
That is if we are less than cordial and abuse our powers there. I have generally always booked ahead of time, or at least tried.
Have you booked ahead of time today?
I called last night because knew I was going to be coming in for doing a report, so I booked for extra time
Oh, what's that plan?
so we can.
Yeah, yeah.
Sucks up people.
All right.
I'll see you then. I have
guess
to hand in a report or give a report, and Ursi's going to hang up his side there.
No, it doesn't even react.
He's not in a particularly great mood. He's still hungry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We will have to deal with that later tonight, undoubtedly. Any further hang-ups from Artemis?
Whoa, what is
Artemis would just say, I understand your concern, but my appointment is at the behest of one of the Harpies, so I'm pretty confident we'll be okay with using Elysium on this occasion.
mine? Oh, we.
Fine.
How dare you build an imaginary brick wall?
I'll see you at Elysium then.
I look forward to it. Click.
As the call ends, Jack, make me a perception and alertness check. Difficulty 5.
Probably need to have the roll 20 open for that.
That the musical girl?
Oh, alright, are you still eating?
Oh no, I'm not eating. We haven't been doing anything roll related, so I've been not having the roll 20 open. So I'm gonna need a minute to do that.
Oh, you just killed my own instantly. Rude.
What's the difficulty?
5.
Do I get my speciality?
What is your specialty again?
It is detail oriented.
No, not this time.
Okie dokie.
You're fine. Let me double check something there. Yes, thanks to the 10, you actually get a number of successes equal to your total dice pool.
Man, this
Hmm.
mind is
Mom,
crazy.
can I please play PlayStation?
You have to ask Dad, but I'm
Lovely.
pretty sure you're grounded, buddy.
Lovely stuff.
Dad already told me to ask you.
In any case, Jack,
Did he?
as you finish the phone call, hang up, and are
Did he
considering
ask
getting
you?
ready for going to Elysium, you hear the soft
Babe.
sound of humming.
Did Orion ask you for the
Anastasia.
PlayStation?
It's those damn hymns, as always. Not
He
the
can't
church
hear me.
ones. Those would be less irritating, probably. Malcolm's hymns. You're still not sure if she's entirely conscious of doing it.
I will pat her on the head and say, "You hungry, Stasia?"
Man, his combos are back.
Well, first,
Oh
you
my
have to
God.
get to a room, but,
Yes, Orion, you can
Oh.
have it. If
I
he's not
thought
going to answer you, then
if
yes.
I was hearing her humming, I would be close enough to hear. I was close enough to her, because if she's in her room and I'm all the way over here in my bedroom, she is humming very, very loud.
it's also a quiet mansion. And it's only
Yeah,
3
okay.
or 4 rooms down. And
Fair enough. I will.
you got 8 successes, man. Do you want to question it more?
No, that's fair.
Hmm.
I could probably hear a gnat take a piss.
Quite possibly,
I will-
yes.
I will go knock on her door.
After passing 3 gnats taking a piss on your walls. You reach her room, which it seems to be, after she will open it for you, fairly neat and tidy. A far cry from last night, though like last night she's drawing, or was drawing. Only not actually drawing, it seems like she was painting. Her feet have smudges of black and whites.
You feeling hungry, Anna?
Yes.
She'll cock her head to one side, and then kind of consider it, and go ahead and point to her mouth and pat her tummy. Yes, that's a yes.
Right. I'm gonna call for the maid, who I believe his name is Eve. Hey, Eve, you hungry?
Not particularly, sir. I mean, sorry, not particularly, Jack. What can I do for you?
Well, I was thinking of ordering some Chinese food for you and snacking on the delivery driver.
The usual, then?
Yeah, something like
Actually,
that.
I'm here for a few days, but yeah, sure. Alright, sir. I'll arrange it. I mean, Jack, I'll arrange it. Also, I found another one.
Another what?
And in this context, another one refers to yet another little secret something hidden in this mansion.
What'd you find this time?
Under the
BDSM
couch,
torture
and the
room?
rug. No, a trapdoor cubbyhole sort of thing. And then it looks like it had, I guess, tie anchor points, maybe for restraints. Maybe a last-ditch hiding spot.
No, it's got restraints and it's probably for a naughty kid.
Several, possibly. He says, looking over at Anastasia.
Make sure that Ursi never sees that ever.
Ursi is the big one, yes?
Yep, tiny.
Right, well, I'll just put it back under the rug and the couch.
Yeah, probably for the best.
There is a tugging at your jacket.
I will look down to Anastasia. She's getting Chinese, we're getting delivery driver.
She nods, but also holds out her latest piece of paper, which is covered in still drying paints.
You know, if you want a proper canvas, like pre-stretched and shit, you can ask me.
Sure it does hurt, lady. But we must persevere.
You want a
She
proper
seems,
canvas?
Daddy.
she seems to consider it and will nod, seeming almost but not quite smiling, which is the closest she comes to getting excited without it being a bad sort of excitement.
That was her, like, everything I was doing to it, no matter what attack it was
I
doing
will
to it,
pat her head and say,
it
"All right,
did to it was 30.
I'll put it on the list. I'm sure Artemis has a dozen of those things laying around his sex pad."
Arvis is never living that down. Oh, in any case. In any case. Shall I assume you look at the picture?
Naturally.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark. Seems to be more about turning the paper black and then slowly painting in other colors for the actual picture. A person, or at least a figure, maybe a man, maybe not, seems to be holding a horrendous looking mask in one hand and an ornate scepter in the other.
You know, if you want black paper, you can ask for black paper, right?
She looks unsure of what it is you're trying to say.
Literally, just take out a piece of paper, write down a list of things you want: canvas, black paper, extra crayons, alcohol markers. Hand it to me, and I will get it for you. You don't need to start DIYing
She,
stuff like
you don't even
MacGyver.
get to finish. You don't get to finish talking before she scampers back into the room for another piece of paper stolen from your typewriter and something to write with.
Yeah, oh yeah, way better.
But delivery does come, and you do get your delivery driver. How much do you take, and how much do you try to let Anna take?
I'm a little bit new to how much blood you can take in V20. So,
Right.
how much
Like
blood can I
normal human,
safely take from this delivery driver?
I'm fighting the Bergen.
normal human has 10 blood points. Anything more than 3 will likely require hospitalization, or at least dumping them somewhere for them to wake up.
Wanna get him out of the belly? Shoot his belly?
Common sense. If I take 2 and Anna takes 2, could I put them in their car and let them believe that they've really just been working super hard tonight?
Possibly. Possibly. And if you hit them if you manage to bite into them while they're looking at Eve, they may misremember apparently making out with an attractive young woman in a maid outfit instead of whatever actually happened, and come up with some sort of excuse like bad traffic for their boss.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that then.
And how much do you give Anastasia? 1 or 2?
I take
If we-
2, Anastasia takes 2. We both get half.
Alrighty. Well, yes. I don't think she's hungry enough to warrant the check just yet. But if you had waited another night, I would have made you make a roll there to make sure she doesn't exsanguinate someone. After all, it is hard to stop a child from keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But you have, ever since you took management of her, so to speak, you have done your best to ensure she feeds regularly. Because the last thing you want is a hunger frenzying child running through the city.
At the risk of fucking myself over, when you said there's a mess in the other room, I was expecting a bunch of exsanguinated bodies, not drawings.
Not tonight, not for the first appearance. That is in the books of ideas for random possibilities, though. Among other things. First, I prefer to establish the character before also adding the fuck-ups. Personal preference.
You didn't dodge.
In any case, as you tend to yours and your own child's needs, we do go back over to Ursi, who is heading for an appointment. Appointment with the boss, or his direct boss at least. He's not meeting the prince. Just of the sheriff.
He's
I do
going
believe you faxed
fast.
in your report last night, yes?
I faxed in the report last night, but I was planning on coming in for a verbal going over anyways, so this works. And plus, she left a voicemail, so he's here.
Yeah. He's not going to be late for this like he was with the Regent.
Yeah, with the Regent, it was an accident because he had just lost humanity. Uh, are we in the private room that we normally do the briefing? So it's just me
This
and
is
Nora,
not in the
or
lounge. This is in one of the office rooms of the Gilded Frame, the other half of Elysium.
What is that?
Mhm.
It's like a.
okay? So yeah, so it's just okay. And it's just the sheriff, none of the other bully boys.
Just the sheriff for right now. You don't get to see Roxy, sadly.
Work friend.
Oh,
Yeah,
see,
he'll
okay.
walk in.
Your work wife is not here, not visibly.
Yeah.
He will walk in and
Comes a certain like
Sit.
what's that? Not
Yes,
Russia,
boss?
but Spain, like a lot of those names out there are hard for me to say.
Out of character, first. What did you include in your report? Because I did not actually see you write that down anywhere, not even in your Google Doc.
Yeah, that is true. I should have written that down. Basically, he did the stuff about the video, the body that was left in a barrel, the stuff about the Sabat organ stuff that we'd already checked out. Trying to think.
The schedule of the trains.
Yeah, the schedule of the trains. Mentioned the stuff about this Valerie,
Valeria.
Valeria. Yeah, mentioned the stuff about Valeria. He specifically
Lacos.
he can. Sorry, say that again.
Lacos, the fox.
Yeah, brings up the stuff with the fox, but specifically leaves out the stuff that connects to Anastasia. Aside from the stuff that's connected to Anastasia, I don't think he sees reason to hide anything else, and I think he.
Well, you can't dodge being eaten. But
I'm trying to think whether or not he included the stuff with Denis. Yeah, no, a person of the task force dying is still worth noting, even if it didn't happen while the task force was doing stuff. So yeah, and then he'll include the stuff about Denis' death.
In the report or right now?
I think in the report he basically said, due to complications that will be expanded on in person, Denis is no longer on the task force.
Well, I see. What do you have to say for yourself, especially about losing Denis so soon? I won't pretend he was particularly gifted at things, but it's not a good look to lose someone so soon in an investigation.
My understanding is, well, I should specify, you probably already know this, but Denis is final dead.
holy crap!
That is why he is not part of the task force.
You did include that much in your report, yes, and it has already started making the rounds.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Trying to remember the stuff. Me, the player, trying to remember the stuff about what happened at his place. Other things like you just mentioned it. A little bit earlier today.
Nice.
You can always
That's
check the
fine.
clues section.
Oh, I got a new.
It is all in the clue section, yes.
The clue section. I went through my own notes That is smarter to just check the clues section. Many thanks.
Well, you should check both because what you jot down as being important to you might not always be something I include. Clues are
True,
generally
true.
literally clues or scenes that
It's like a fractured sword that's
relevant.
like somehow still like floating in the
Mm.
shape of a sword. That's so cool.
One other thing is we know that we're probably going to have to get
Oh, but
extra,
the dual ram
as was kind of in the report, but
has a
later tonight,
buddies.
preferably, but if we have to, 2 nights from now.
We'll talk about that in 3 nights from
Keanu
now.
Reeves as the hilt.
But yes, we will talk about that in a
Sounds like
moment.
a fin.
All right.
I'm sure
Aside from the stuff with the train yard, we did find a sticky note at Denise' place that had mention of trains not being the only vector involved. We knew that to a decent extent, but seems Denis might have found something before he was offed. His hard drives had been destroyed purposefully.
Even when someone
Someone
as
with
relatively
protean.
unimportant as Denis dying in the city is a bad look. Especially from someone we don't even know about, this other individual. You'll recall
Yeah.
last time something like that happened. No, we lost a primogen. 2 years ago.
Out of
Maybe a month ago.
character, what do I remember about the MGJ thing?
Man,
Did
Just
I
that was
see that?
GJ.
you can
I
tell
mean,
there's
Jack
remnants
pointed
of
it
like
out
a
to
past
y'all.
civilization that's been overgrown by the fracture.
Yeah, and uh do you know you wouldn't
Yeah,
happen to
I'm
understand
sure. It seems like a lot of these buildings are like
what
this.
M/GJ means, would you?
Not in the slightest. I'm sure there is some sort of contextual clue to be found there, but I'm afraid I don't know, Denis.
Okay.
Because it
Or
seems
didn't.
Yeah, because like a lot of architecture is very like
seems our
the design.
whoever Denis had seemed to have gotten a lead on seems like they might be related to this because it was scratched out
Yeah, I
as if trying to hide it.
they speak French and subtitles doesn't mean
Or perhaps Denis himself was trying to hide it for fear the note could be found.
they sound so.
Either way,
Very
it's
true.
additional investigation on top of your current investigation, and even if there wasn't, the note about possibly not just being these trains you've mentioned, well, stretching yourself thin.
Yep.
Speaking of which, we should move on to the topic of tonight. You mentioned in your report desire to do an assault on this location you found tonight,
Yes.
which, to be frank, twofold. One, I think it's a bad idea, but two, if you decide to go ahead with it anyway as the leader of this investigation, you'll find that I will have to take over for it.
Mhm.
After all, this is an assault with full resources being deployed, at least as much as we can. We wouldn't want them to escape through the cracks, so to speak.
True.
But you know why it's a incomplete idea?
Do tell, please. Yeah.
You really have no idea yourself?
Can I vouch for common sense? Is there something I'm very obviously missing that
On the
that
camera
Ursi would have?
footage, you saw them arriving at the rail line, but you didn't see how they got there.
Ah, that's true.
What are their
We only
ways
saw
in
the
and out of the
train.
rail yard? If you don't know those, you can't guarantee you can cover them all. And if you can't guarantee you can cover them all, there will be those that will probably inevitably slip through the net, as it were, in a sort of sting operation. Kind of like someone
Very
turning the lights
true.
on, the cockroaches scattering. You might be able to get some of them, but you probably won't get all of them.
Very true.
And if that happens, see, back in character here, that would mean we would be in on a week's or possibly months-long cat and mouse game across the city. Of course,
Yeah.
going now, tonight, I'm sure would limit future breach attempts by a fair bit. Or at least perhaps save a few mortal lives, but ultimately, It will likely prolong this problem, not shorten it.
I would not like that. You make a great point.
Ultimately, though, the decision is still yours. You were put in charge of this investigation, by political means or not, so I will let you make the call here, see. But know that making the call also means you get to carry the blame.
Of course, of course.
Hey, the basics
Yeah.
are still-
And on that note, it should be known that not everyone is entirely happy with your appointment.
Yeah, that's been pretty clear.
You've heard from Roxy, of course, but even one of your fellow investigators came to me with concerns just last night.
Oh, I have a firm idea what I think
What?
is going on now.
Suppose you wouldn't know. Jack came in for a late night meeting that he wished to have about concerns of your leadership and your, well, greenhorn status. Possibly making mistakes, slip-ups, like with a guard apparently at this security shack you got the recording from. Now, granted, I think having the ability to erase any memory connected with us is a bit far-fetched.
Yeah, he didn't really go into like.
After all, having that ability requires a certain level of mastery of Dominate, and most of those that do have that level of mastery don't tend to go around loaning themselves out to clean up messes. Not their own, that is. But the concern
Why
was
smoke?
properly presented, so I have to properly cover it, wasting both of
Out
our
of character, am I smoking something, or is Forgetful Mind not literally dominate rank 1?
You are smoking something. You're thinking of Cloud Memory, rank 1 for V5. In V20 and all earlier editions, Forgetful Mind is a rank 3 power, and it is the earliest memory altering power. Which is why expecting someone to have that readily on hand is kind of a bit much.
Let's see.
But as I said, the concern was raised, and we will go over it properly.
Very well. Ursi's face has for lack of a better word, darkened a little bit. He's not very not feeling great about that. Known this guy for about a day, learned some not great things, and now this.
I mean, he did also show you up with the evidence baggie, and you still have evidence baggie envy.
I can't live that down. I will never live that down. He it comes up in his mind for a second, and he immediately waves it away. Sorry, she was saying.
I spent like a good half hour to 40 minutes in the
What way could you have handled this differently?
What way could I handle it differently?
Jack has made mention of more than one thing, but this was the specific event he seemed to have the most trouble with, beyond a general lack of preparedness. Care to enlighten me? I doubt he brought forward these concerns with completely unsubstantiated.
This is specifically the CCT office situation.
That, and generally however you comported yourself last night. Be honest with me, Ursi.
Let's see. With the security officer, went relatively smoothly. We were able to get in. Artemis talked with him for the most part. Basically, posing as a surprise security check. Seems like the guy, just out of character. That is what we did, right? I'm not misremembering that. Okay, cool. Yeah.
I mean, beyond Artemis presencing the guy, but yeah.
Yeah.
He turned on that supernatural vampire charm, but that's temporary.
Yeah. Then I took a look, found the footage,
Same.
downloaded it, removed it from their system, and was able also to find out that somebody else had recently done the same thing or something similar to the system,
I was.
as it only had like the night prior.
Please don't tell me you were foolish enough to just walk out of that office without also disabling the cameras.
No, of course I did that.
Well, it isn't all lost then.
Yeah, did not want to get caught on camera going, just leaving. That would be a big mistake. In
And
terms
about
of
your
the,
general lack of preparedness?
See, I've learned the game now.
is
So
this
I know
about
I'm the first
the
one.
fucking evidence
That was
baggy
pretty
size
kind of the
thing?
hardest setting.
Evidence baggy size thing?
Easily.
I
Most of
He
the
had a larger baggie for the fucking skull that we found of the burned guy.
Perhaps, perhaps not. Either way, it behoove you going forward to both pull your act together a bit more for your role as long as you have it.
Of
You might have
course.
gotten it by politics, Cersei, but just because you got it through politics doesn't mean it won't reflect on you or me based on your actions going forward. And if you do manage to put it bluntly, fuck up in a bold enough way, no amount of politics will keep you in that position. And it
Of
could be a
course.
long time before you ever live that down.
Yeah.
Or worse.
This is one thing that
Yeah.
allow you to.
In
Yeah.
any case, that still leaves you the decision. Do you wish to use tonight's train arrival to perhaps scout things out a bit further, plan things a little better, and plan the assault next time that the train arrives, as said in the schedule? Or do you wish to start an assault tonight? I will warn you
I,
that while we will have the bully boys and myself, and a number of volunteers on the list that like to be contacted for such things, we certainly won't get the full amount of them.
no, I
Maybe
think
half.
reconnaissance is definitely the smarter move.
Like the flavors of
I
how each
definitely,
character acts like.
I'm not one to make light of my mistakes. I jumped the gun there. That's on me. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We'll do some reconnaissance tonight. Try to get a hold of some more information. Get the exits, that sort of stuff. And
Oh, you don't like
who
this
knows?
one? You're racist.
Maybe in trying to find out more things, we'll get
He's too
something
quiet.
even more useful, so that we potentially don't have to have the raid be on an active Sabat thing with a bunch of people running wild with their heads cut off.
Now, if we wanted to set things up so that the mortals don't get involved, that would be hard. As not only do we have to avoid them getting caught in things, we also have to avoid tipping off the Sabbat. Hey, with a few nights, we can think of something on that matter. In any case, in order to avoid a lack of preparedness going forward, considering that any good sightline of the rail yard from outside the rail yard requires a certain elevation and distance before you have any real options, I suggest you bring along something to help you see. Binoculars or a telescope, perhaps.
Of course. Makes sense.
You know that while she seems to be on your side, she is not going to let this potential slip up or slide go unforgotten for a long time.
Oh yeah. Ursi's aware. He's trying to be, what's the word? Respectful about it. I think he understands he messed up. He's not happy with how that came to light, but
See,
yeah.
I went into this blind, so I didn't know any of that.
Well,
Like the
while
race
you
car
are
thing. I was like,
finishing
what
that
the hell's so sad
conversation
about
and
it?
preparing for however you're going to do things to Coterie later, let us go to the rest of the Coterie who are beginning to gather at Elysium, specifically the
And the
basement
two boys, like
lounge
me talking about, like I started crying.
of the Velvet Eclipse.
Oh my god.
Now, who would get here first, I wonder? Jack or Artemis?
I think Artemis was already on his way there, so possibly him.
Indeed, indeed. Which means that Artemis is here, waiting for Maisie.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jack found out that Artemis was on his way there before he got Chinese food.
Yeah, I can't.
Fair enough. And you had to clean up afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Artemis,
I didn't mean to
how do you
say-
feel about things going forward? You're already a little unsure about the added extra measures, I believe.
Off guard.
Or extra things.
So what, Keto?
Well, Artemis is a pragmatist at heart, and he believes that everything will usually work out okay for him, so he may as well just assume that's the case from the beginning.
Oh.
So he's feeling quite confident.
Hey, Kate.
You know you are. Never mind, I'm going to be quiet about that, at least verbally. But, Maisie, you generally try to avoid places like Elysium, or at least the more vampire-y parts, such as the basement lounge, but you have to come in tonight whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Oh, there's no
Yep,
rest.
unfortunately.
Oh, God.
Jules has told you who you're going to be meeting, and you kind of vaguely remember him. You've met
Oh,
him
no,
a
I mean,
couple of
like,
times.
Rest points so I can heal up.
Yeah, she'll remember him being the older gentleman that a little bit grayer, but he's dressed well.
Oh,
Not
God.
her style, but he dressed well.
I got this. I keep
Indeed,
Luna
indeed.
alive and heal up.
In any case, you enter, presumably from one of the several entrances that aren't the sewers. And you will find Artemis, what is it, standing at the bar?
Artemis is leaning back against the bar, surveying the room, with a general look of contentment on his face. He's a king surveying his kingdom.
Giving nods to those that need nods, giving stares to those that need stares.
Mm-hmm.
The usual.
Giving a sarcastically wry grin to those that need a sarcastically wry grin. Oh my God, I can't believe he wore that out of the house. Dear God. Good evening, my dear.
Oh. Holy shit.
Good evening. Artemis, correct?
Absolutely 100%. Please, join me, won't you?
Fuck it, why not? She'll take a seat.
Our mutual friend, Jules, tells me that you're looking to ingratiate yourself into the greater kindred society of the city.
10. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm done. Oh, God.
Kinda gotta get integrated. Not that I'm a big fan of all the politics, but it's necessary.
Ah, yes, politics. The necessary poison of a kindred society. I couldn't agree with you more. But it's important to be on the right side of it. Make sure you're the one making all the decisions and the moves happening to
Or
you.
these little balls of, like, poison.
So I've been told, but I don't
So I gotta dodge
have
this
much
pistol
say
shit.
in that,
Well done.
so I'm just kinda here
Oh my God, I did it.
doing
Yeah.
whatever.
Wow, why don't we try to do something about that? Let's get you a say.
Chromatic troubadour.
What do you say?
Why the hell not?
I have the feeling this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Would you like a drink?
Sure, I'll take a drink.
Quick out of character. Can we get the normal vampire drinks in this part of the bar? Do we have to go downstairs?
It is available. You are in the downstairs portion of the
okay.
basement lounge. Yeah, the upstairs portion is a typical nightclub, so very different atmosphere, and we would not be hearing the pretty jazz music in the background.
I'm thinking of the private room, the green
Alright, I figured
coloured
he's going down.
background. That's
Well, you can get the drinks are out here too. There's just usually a drinking limit on them, so yeah. And these don't actually count for blood points, just because reasons.
yeah.
I have them in for flavor, not for easy blood.
Artemis will hold up 2 fingers to attract the attention of the barman. David, 2 extremely old-fashioned.
Yes, sir. As
Out
usual,
of character, I
you know,
don't imagine they contain enough blood to create a blood point.
Junk food tastes good.
And 2 extreme old fashions are quickly slid over your way. Not quite as good as Sebastian's, but David's newer. He's trying. He's got a couple more years to catch up on the finer details. Still better than most bartenders you'll find around the city, though.
Fortunately, David has bruised bourbon here, but these are passable.
Maisie's gonna take the drink and kind of swirl it around, look at it, and then down the whole cup.
A single raised eyebrow from Artemis. Les connoisseurs, oui? I see you like your drink. Good.
Gotta know what you're drinking.
Artemis swells the drink and takes a sip. Couldn't agree more. Now, we'll be meeting some individuals this evening, part of a newly formed coterie that I'm part of. Ursi, you may have heard of, is our erstwhile leader. And then there's Jack, a newcomer to the city. You probably haven't run into him yet, but you'll get to know him soon enough. We've been tasked with an investigation. Can't go into too much detail here in mixed crowd company, but once we head backstage and go into the meeting room, I'll fill you in on all the nitty-gritty of the details.
Interesting.
Do you have any investigatory experience at all?
Other than being a bar therapist, no. I don't investigate shit. Just there. Decoration, I guess.
You do yourself a disservice, my dear. You're more than decoration. You're a part of this coterie now.
Coterie, ain't that a weighty word? You're well aware of its implications, but you've actually never been a part of one. Outcast that you are.
Tell me, if you don't mind and it isn't too forward, how long have you been one of us?
Since summer of 95.
Around 4 years.
Information you're well aware of, Artemis. Considering your social circles, it was quite the big fuss and hullabaloo when it happened.
Yeah, but he still wanted to ask the question.
Yep.
Well, it's a good age to start dipping one's toes into this murky area of kindred society. But you can't put it off forever.
Trust me, my sire has said this. I just wanted to keep playing in my band.
Band. That's right, you're a guitar player, is that right?
That would be right.
I think I caught you guys in one of the clubs on the west side a few months back. What was the name of it again?
It's Velburn.
Valeburn. Yes. Yeah, I believe I have one of the flyers in my office. Interesting sounds. You found something a little unique, I think.
Wouldn't call it too unique. I mean, how many people have put off the church in the last decade or so?
Again, you do yourself a disservice. You've got an interesting sound. It's something a little fresh, something nobody else is doing at the moment. I know I look like an old fuddy-duddy, but I try to keep my ear to the ground and keep ahead of current trends in the youth of today. I think your band has potential.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm sure Lex would appreciate it as well. He's the mastermind of the
While your
whole thing.
conversation turns to the topic of Lex, Jack, you arrive at Elysium.
Do we see him arrive?
Artemis does, because you're facing away from the bar. Leaning into it.
He'll raise a hand, wave across the bar at Jack.
Who's the dame?
This is Amethyst. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Maisie. You get your
Oh,
name
sorry,
in
I've
on
been,
roll 20.
my bad. I've been looking at the name on roll 20. Sorry.
Yep, yep.
Um,
Yeah,
this,
and go ahead and put in your character's name on the roll 20 script thing. It's in the settings under display name.
this is Maisie, an acquaintance of mine via the Harpy. Julian, damn, what's his name?
Julian Moreau, or
Julian
Jules,
Moreau.
as he often prefers to be called.
Well, I'll call him Jules to his face, but I'll talk about him as Julian Moreau to other. She's an acquaintance, a mutual acquaintance of mine and Julian Moreau.
Hmm.
Maisie will just nod to him.
You've never seen this man before in the city.
Make someone be sure to read out my flaw.
The very
Or should I
icy
read it out
demeanor of
loud?
this chap.
Yep, that's the one.
I don't
Jack
know where
is
it
a
is, but he
relative
is a
new-
very icy persona about him, and definitely seems to give no care about. Seems cared about no sort of bullshit. I guess, like nothing would phase him, almost like a monster.
Jack, this
I'll
is
read it
Maisie.
to you if you don't
Maisie,
mind.
Jack.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Sorry.
You are one cold-blooded bastard. Whether you are a hitman in life, a gang enforcer, a clinical sadist, or someone born without a conscience, the embrace didn't dull your edge, it refined it. You don't flinch, you don't hesitate. Atrocity comes to you as easily as breath once did. Although you're not necessarily insane, see the derangements in V20, you carry a chill in your soul that unsettles even the damned. Kindred cross the street to avoid your gaze unless they need a mess cleaned up without questions or mercy. And when they do, they stand back and let the monster work. The Camarilla has uses for predators like you, enforcers, silencers, disposers of inconvenient problems, even if they dress it up with words like Scourge or Archon. No one truly trusts you. They shouldn't. Your humanity is a fading ember, and the line between kindred and something worse is a razor-thin line. That suits you just fine. You were born for the dark.
Oh, thank you. So a very unsettling man to you, Maisie. You've seen an unsettling unsettling men before, but this one seems a bit more so.
Yeah,
More than a bit
she'll
more
keep her
so.
distance from him.
Taking the opposite end of Artemis from the new arrival.
Jack, this is Maisie. Maisie, Jack. Jack shall be joining us in our investigations this evening. Speaking of which, where is our illustrious leader? I haven't heard from him since our joint call earlier.
Well, he told us he'd be meeting with the sheriff today, so he's probably there getting chewed out.
Seems reasonable. Can I get you a drink, Jack?
Yeah, bourbon old-fashioned.
Artemis will signal with two fingers to the barman and point in Jack's direction. The usual.
Aye, sir. A few moments later, a drink is slid Jack's way.
Well, given we have matters to discuss, shall we adjourn to the back room?
I assume so. We have a reservation.
That you do, my second and third least favorite goldfish, says the keeper from behind you.
What the hell did I ever do? Piss you all.
Well, beside that demeanor of yours, mostly guilt by association. But that demeanor really doesn't do you any favors. I should write a poem about it, I think.
And I should read it. Rory, you old bastard, how are you?
I'm better than you, I think, for these nights. Even if Silver Fox like yourself has trouble with this much on their platter.
Alas, would that I were embraced the flower of my youth as you were. But jealousy is a waste of my energies.
And a
How goes
waste of
the-
creative talent.
Never a true word spoken.
Yes.
May we adjourn to the private room?
That was tough.
Of course. Thankfully, my least favorite goldfish for once thought to plan ahead,
New weapon.
and it is reserved properly. I'll have to find some other means with which to attack you later, I suppose. Have fun,
I'll
Knight.
look forward to the joust.
Out of character, sorry. I like his little jabs, so I had to sneak them in.
No, that's absolutely fine. Artemis is just going to pretend they're not happening.
Out of character. It's kind of cool to see
Reasonable.
Rory now.
Oh yeah, you did get to help make him.
I did. I gave him his name.
You did. In any case, the three of you will make your way inside the private room, basement lounge, and Maisie, you have never been here before. Normally this is for the up and ups. It's hard to reserve it normally, and normally there's a fee associated with reserving it that can much more better be fit to feed and care for the band.
She's gonna take a look
Extravagant waste
around.
otherwise.
We'll kind of lean over towards Artemis like, what'd you guys do to piss in his Cheerios?
I believe that Rory's unfortunate situation is that each morning when he wakes, somebody is already pissed in his Cheerios. He's just never sure who it is, so he lashes out in all directions.
I mean,
Does this room have a
Fair.
music player?
Quite possibly. Perhaps a miniature jukebox that's a much smaller version of the one out there.
I'm going to put in a CD of blues music from a band that no one except me has heard of.
Oh, really?
Do you mean stereo or boombox or the like?
I mean, presumably something that can play CDs.
Mm-hmm. You'll probably find something somewhere, perhaps tucked away.
I'll put a CD of a blues band I have never heard of. But you,
I
the
would
SP,
like-
you know what I'm talking about.
I would like to know what the role is to see if Artemis has actually heard of this blues band.
All right, we will set the difficulty at. Well, first we should decide what the role is here.
Should I tell you
Determining
what the
what
blues
sort of-
band is in Hourglass?
Sure, go ahead.
Who knows? But I think that there's something about Gustav that is just I can't put my finger on it. There's a lot of things that
Okay, yeah, this is gonna be good. Shoot, yeah, I doubt they have much in the way of recordings out and about. So, yeah, this is gonna be difficulty 9 at least. First we need to figure out what sort of role this is going to be.
the way it does.
Let's go with intelligence plus expression.
The way he
Just
acts
intelligence,
right now
then.
acts just like how
Difficulty
Gustav
9.
acts.
Difficulty 9.
And then an old man, like he's I don't know. It's just what I'm being led.
I'm going to resist the urge to spend a willpower point.
Yep.
The fuck? Four
I believe that's
successes.
4 successes.
Artemis, you have heard this, this, and once and only once. The only reason you remember it right now is because of how awful the person playing the piano is.
Okay. What's the name of the band?
I don't know the exact name,
Oh, okay.
but it's the blues
They're
rock
called the
band. of-
Troubadours.
The Chivadors. It's the blues rock band of the Prince of Denver.
That feels much more like actually there's a secret Toreador underground network sending CDs of this shit around to each other.
Considering he's a
The Prince of
Toreador,
Denver is a Toreador.
that makes sense. The person that's awful at the piano, but is on the band, is probably bringing the whole band down by several categories. Is the Prince's child, the sheriff?
Given that I got 4 successes, would I know the names of these people?
Certainly. Take it away. Take it away, Dio. I could look it up myself, but I'm just laughing.
Edward Williams, the Prince, Duke, Karen Mauve, and Leslie Booth.
The Duke is
And-
the sheriff.
Yep.
I believe this is the Duke. Sure, I've heard this before. Yeah, I have. I've heard this. This is awful.
Other than the piano, it's pretty tolerable, I'd say. Pretty good.
Well, to each his own, and you're entitled to your own opinion, no matter how wrong it is, but... Oh, that note was flat. Could we maybe turn it down, or off, or maybe fling it out of the window? That would be my preference.
Maisie, as a musician yourself, and even if this is entirely not your jam, it is probably irritating to some degree for you to listen to.
Oh yeah, she's so grossed out by this music right now.
Literally all three other positions other than keyboard are doing a pretty fantastic job, but the keyboard is just awful. So you got 3 good musicians and 1 person that's probably only played for about 6 months. Or less.
They need to be burned at the stake.
Do you say that out loud?
No, she's doing that in her head.
Likely at a metal concert, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
It takes a minute.
Did I do something to annoy you that you would put this on to get back at me for?
I kind of like it. I think the bad piano is almost a little charming.
Charmin as in the toilet paper, yes, I would agree. That's the toilet paper in the States, right?
Yeah, it is.
Charmin.
Charmin.
Yeah.
Charmin.
Yeah. Sorry. Good, mate. Good. Artemis is sitting with his drink in his hand, white-knuckled, gripping the glass.
You don't want to have to get up to turn it off, but at the same time, you really don't want to listen to it.
No. It's going to his happy place. In his
Maisie's tempted to go shut
Percy,
it off.
you arrive at the Elysium private room in time to open it up and hear this ghastly piano mixed with some all-right guys playing some blues.
I think Ursi walks in. As he walks in, he goes up from immediately like this like stoic walking in. Had just had a shitty conversation with the boss to immediately like, what the fuck? What is that? As he kind of looks around looking for the jukebox.
Maisie, the 7.5-foot tall man has entered the room.
She'll look at him, pause, and go get the fucking music turned off. She's done with it.
Ursi. Glad you could make it. We all ready for our assault this evening?
Sorry, that was. Thank you. Wait.
Who the heck is this girl? Sheesh.
Who the?
My bad. My apologies. I am a terrible host. Ursi, this is Maisie. Maisie Ursi, leader of our small coterie. Maisie is here at the request of the Harpy, Julian, and again I've forgotten the guy's name.
Julian Moreau.
Thank you. I'm going to write it down in pen in front of me. She's here at the behest of Julian Moreau, the Harpy, and her sire. They have a desire to get her integrated into kindred society a little more, and they thought that we might be the perfect coterie to do that for them.
Wonderful.
I'm so in.
That's what I thought.
Wonderful. All right. So he just mentioned who you are, but I'm going to ask you a bit more bluntly. Who are you? What are you doing? What do you do?
Maisie's going to be in the process of
Because I know
turning
your
off the
name.
music. And she's going to be like,
Thank you for that.
she's going to look over at him like, Maisie, Lasombra, Androp, whatever. I don't give a fuck. This music is stupid. She's going to take the CD and just like chuck it across the room.
Oh boy, you're outright chucking it across the room. Jack, your CD goes flying. Oh.
Anyway, Maisie, call me Maisie if you want. Lasombra, fucking playing a band. That shit was horrendous. Holy shit. And what was your last question?
What do you do?
Whatever the fuck the ivory tower tells me to.
Good answer.
Yeah, no, that's generally a good answer. Now let me be more specific. What are you good at?
The thing is hard is stupid jump.
Guitar, charming people, shadows. Anything else?
Do you know how to use
Yeah.
dominate?
You're using controller.
Yeah,
Oh,
a bit. It's part of my clan. I could also punch somebody in the face pretty damn good, too.
it's nice because dodge is Q and E is parry, so they're like right there for your
Mm.
Great. Great.
space.
Well,
Yeah, it's very nicely actually sets it up well.
we're gonna be doing
So I plugged in the controller because I play.
was planning on doing a raid
I
tonight,
actually really
but
like
plans
it.
have changed. We're gonna be doing a little bit of reconnaissance to hopefully do
And normally I don't care
a
about
raid
I
in
don't like mouse and keyboard
on the
games,
next shipment,
RPGs,
not tonight's.
MMO,
That's a bad idea.
but this one kind of works.
What was that?
That's a bad idea.
Doing reconnaissance to make sure no one slips through the cracks.
Well, if you hadn't screwed us the other night, it would have been a great idea.
Oh really?
Screwed us?
That's actually really cool.
When you went to that video machine, there was nothing past the last week, correct?
There was
Last
stuff
night,
for the night
actually.
prior.
Yes, there was nothing before the night prior, correct?
Yes.
So, what do you think is going to happen when they show up and check the system to delete their shit and notice that it's already deleted?
You're talking about the stuff. Sorry, out of me, the player, am having brain failure. My character is much smarter than I am. I am trying to have coherent thoughts.
Basically, he's saying that since you deleted the footage of the train stuff last night, they're going to be potentially surprised to find it already missing if they go to delete it tonight.
The fact that they hadn't already deleted it the night of kind of goes to show that they aren't necessarily the best of it. They're kind of not very great at their jobs, as we have already seen. And it was that, or potentially leave a masquerade breach on a system that already had Immortal on it. One of these is a worse position, and to me, having an active masquerade breach, I'd rather not have that than potentially alerting people that have already shown that they're not great with their security work. So today, we're going to do reconnaissance to make sure that no one can slip through the cracks. And hopefully, we can we can learn and see some stuff if we don't get spotted about the current shipment.
More importantly, their ways in and out.
Exactly. More importantly, their ways in and out. Because we saw the
Additionally,
train come up, but we did not see where we saw the direction that this
You know what would be really messed up? Like, I'm still on this
these other characters came from,
but I wonder if Gustav started
but we did not see where exactly. So finding that out would be useful.
additionally, the sheriff has mentioned that by waiting, you will get access to additional bodies to throw at the problem.
Not only that, but if we don't do it tonight, then we actually have more time to collect the proper hustle. Because if we were to do it tonight, we would not have access to as many able bodies.
Fine.
I understand you're new to this city, but maybe next time if you're going to go behind my back to try and take my job over that, don't.
I've told you to your face how shit at this job I think you are.
And I've barely known you 2 nights.
I don't particularly care how long you've known me. I've been investigating since before you were born. You
That's
barely
neat.
know a goddamn thing about the Sabbat. Quite frankly, you have no business leading this investigation, and the only reason you're here is because of nepotism.
Bold of you to assume that I chose this position, as many, almost, I'm pretty sure everyone here, we were told this position.
I'm sure if you walked up to the prince and said, I think someone else should be in charge and I'm going to give it to him. Not the prince, the sheriff. Sorry, he said the sheriff. That is a player fuck up, not a character fuck up. The sheriff, and asked for someone else to be in charge in this group, she'd be willing to oblige.
Yes, but I don't know you and I don't trust you and you're not from this city. So no.
So then what the hell else am
So
I
how about
supposed to do
stop
other
being a
than
pain
go
in my
behind your
ass
back?
and we actually
How
just
about
do
you
our
start
fucking
being
job?
competent?
Earthy takes a deep breath as his shoulders rise and like lets a breath out. Still kind of falling back into those habits when he gets annoyed of breathing. I don't have time to deal with your pettiness from another fucking city. We're here to do reconnaissance. We're going to be covering all those things. Fair warning, Maisie. Maisie,
Yeah.
The lurker in the room probably jolts a little bit as she gets called out.
you said you're good with shadows. Are um can I make like an occult roll to understand how much I would know about the shadow shit?
Certainly, but most of it's going to be pretty vague, and just that they manipulate unnatural seeming shadows for the most
Yeah,
part.
basically I'm trying to remember whether or not they're able to use it to help them hide like they are in V5 because I don't know how it works in V20. Uh,
Right. This will be a higher difficulty roll because this is not exactly a common knowledge thing in the Camarilla for
mhm,
those that haven't
mhm.
had encounters with the Sabbat. So, sure. Let's make this an intelligence occult, but the difficulty will be 8, and you will need probably multiple successes to get a coherent answer.
Oh yeah, you get the.
um,
At least I got
all
it.
right, and yeah, I'm not gonna
Oh no.
burn anything for it, so I'm just gonna roll it.
Oh okay.
Occult intelligence. 3 successes.
Y'all are rolling well tonight for the oddest of things.
Granted,
Anyway, here
occult
you all
intelligence
go.
is one of my largest pools. It is,
In any
yeah,
case,
it's my actually it's tied for my best pool.
you believe they can, but most of their shadow manipulation, at least at most later levels, is outright unnatural in appearance, even when they're just creating fields of shadows. But you think they can in some way, but you're not sure exactly what level of proficiency that requires or such and such detail. But you have one here, you can ask her.
Yeah. We should get you caught up regardless. So you do shadow shit. I'm sure you're aware at this point of, actually, I'm going to ask that outright. Do you know what we're doing on this task force and what and amazing?
Artemis has given me a little bit of detail, but not enough out there to say. So, whatever secretive shit there is, probably should be said in here.
I thought I'd leave it to you as our illustrious leader to fill her in on the detail.
Very well. All right, so to put it bluntly, we're dealing with a mass amount of masquerade breaches and breaches from the north of Thin Bloods and Sabbat Shovelheads coming in down. We're trying to stop that and figure out some more of the information around that. That is our job as this task force. We're going to be essentially finding the root and reporting on it and hopefully taking it out. So far, we know that there is at least 2 cells that we know that are involved. One of which is comes by the train yard, which is where we will be scouting later tonight. And there will be a shipment coming in tonight, so we will have to be quiet about that.
Okay.
And the other group is the one that's currently embedded in the city. We don't know their current locations, but we do know that they will most likely be there tonight. And they are led by one of your cousins,
My
another La Sombra,
cousin.
however, this one tied to the sword.
Hmm. Well, I wouldn't call them my cousins, because I really don't fucking care about them.
Fair enough.
Welcome to the club. I don't give a shit about my cousin either. Some bitch voted for Nixon.
That really just shows you his age. I love it.
Okay, yes, it's.
Yeah.
I like them so much.
I'm in a room full of old
Damn, you are
men.
fucking old. Jesus.
Like I know they did that on purpose.
Well, not old for our groups, but
I feel like we're gonna meet up with them like, again.
Speak for yourself. I've only been in this fucking world for 4 years. I was 22.
I did it for like, 'cause they care.
you're
Oh
not that
my
much
god,
younger.
you are a fetus.
Yeah.
A fetus with teeth.
That's true.
Watch it.
Boldly
Fair
assume
enough.
I don't like it when you bite.
She's only like 3 or 4 years older, maybe 5 years older than your kid. Goodness.
Oh no, I'm old enough to be her father.
And by your kid, I'm actually talking about
I
Anastasia, but
assume.
yes, the other one.
Oh,
I suppose.
I mean, you're technically old enough to be Ursi's father, so
oh God!
because
The only
despite
person
Ursi's
whose father you
size, he
can't
was
be is
embraced when he was
Artemis.
25. Yeah. Yeah, because Ursi's also young. He was embraced 25, and he's now 30. So he's only been in this for 5 years as well. Or no, he's been in it for 5 years.
You can get like
What did I?
unless you get like a
Oh yeah, I was mentioning the stuff we're doing, all that stuff. We do know that there's other ways that they're getting in the city aside from the train yard. However, this one seems to be one of the main ones for their deposits of shovel heads, which have been making an absolute fucking mess all around the city.
Well, of course, that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, hence why
might be a thing though, because like mine's doing it too, and I'm using
where to stop it, or at least gather more information on it to stop it a little bit later.
No. She's being like they won't even make the motion when you tap it. They'll just
In that regard,
completely take hits without being like.
what can you tell us about
Or any of that.
the shadow stuff? I know
Yeah, it'll still
some
be
of the
like
things
that,
you can do with it, but it's not exactly common knowledge.
but they'll just stand there instead and not do anything.
Well, out of character, I'm just going to read it to you, but is just summarize it. She has shadow play, which grants the power to vampire limited control over shadows and other ambient darkness. Though the vampire cannot truly create darkness, she can overlap, stretch existing shadows, creating patches of gloom. This power also allows kindred to separate shadows from their casting bodies and even shape darkness into shadows of things that are not there. Once a kindred
Shadow
piece...
puppets.
Yep, shadow puppets. There we go. Thank you for summarizing it. And then the second one, she has Shroud of Night. The vampire can create a cloud of inky blackness. The cloud completely obscures light and even sounds to some extent. Those who have been trapped within it and survive describe the cloud as viscous and unnerving. This physical manifestation lends credence to those La Sombra who claim their darkness is something other than mere shadow. The cloud may even move if the creating kindred wishes, though this requires complete concentration.
It also looks completely unnatural to anyone on the outside looking in.
Yep.
Kind of Lovecraftian.
It's kind of like that dark corner where there's just that particular darkness that just isn't right.
If it actually has tentacles of shadow on the edges, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a little bit more conspicuous. Okay, yeah, a lot more conspicuous. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Aside from the first level power, pretty much all the shadows are masquerade breaches. And even the first one can be, depending on how it's used.
Understandable.
Separating someone's shadow from themselves, for instance.
What graphics things?
I'm assuming everybody else has already introduced themselves.
For the most part.
Well, though it seems you've already been introduced to my name and who I am, might as well do the proper dues. I am Ursi Ferrantsov. I am the leader of this task force. Nice to meet you. Welcome.
It's nice to meet you officially. I have seen you around Elysium. You're very fucking tall.
Yes. Believe it or not, I was gonna be taller.
Well, thank fuck for that, because damn.
Honestly,
Pretty sure you're the shortest one in this coterie.
Well, the fuck aware.
A couple things overlapped, so someone was saying something,
Yes,
but I overheard the shortest thing, and so what was that? I don't know who said it.
Jack said the shortest thing about Maisie. I was saying that you're probably glad you didn't have time to grow more because, geez, it's already hard enough finding clothes, shoes, and a house that fits your enormous proportions.
Yeah. Uh, Also, it was going to lead to some health stuff. Because once you get past a certain size, being big, it's not good.
Is the goal?
Oh, you were already starting to feel some joint pain. You don't have to put up with that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Ursi's going to go up to the bar and start making himself a drink. And then as he makes himself a really old fashioned, he grabs the glass, and the glass, when he picks it up, just starts to frost. As he's sipping. So, anything else any would like to cover before we head out? Any other preparations people would like to make? I was going to go grab some other things for reconnaissance purposes, but I'd like to hear your thoughts before I go.
I should probably change my outfit. This is not really a stealthy ensemble I'm wearing at the moment. I think I have something a little more fitting back at work.
Lilac has many great qualities, but stealthy is not among them.
No. I take it I won't be needing the... And he mimes the click-clack of a shotgun.
What if you get found?
Discretion is the better part of valor. Are we going to engage if we're discovered, or do you want us to withdraw?
I would say, for the most part, if it were result, one moment, the player, is thinking real quick.
For what it's worth, I am very good at withdrawal.
There's more of us than there are. There are more of them than there are of us.
Yeah, I'd prefer that we back away if things were to get violent, or if we're seen. That would definitely be a backing off point. There's going to be a lot more of them, and they're going to have a bunch of scared, hungry newbies, most likely. And while they're not necessarily difficult to deal with, enough of them will do the job.
Noted.
Anything else?
Go on.
Common sense. Maybe check to see if they're hungry.
Does anybody else need to top up before we head out?
I took care of it before I left the office this evening.
Good.
I'm well fed.
Good.
Are you well fed, boss?
Sorry, my brain died as soon as you said that. What did you say?
Are you well fed, boss?
I am going to go get my shit to make what I can of myself less conspicuous.
Go on.
That should take
So,
not very long. So how about we meet up again soon? Collect your things. You said you needed to get a change of clothes. Meet up here again in about, not in the private room, but we can meet outside in about an hour. Unless someone needs more time than that.
Think I can get changed in a little under 30 minutes, so that should give me time to get home, come back.
Good. Then I will see you all in an hour.
Yeah.
And Ursi is going to get up and leave, as he is going to be heading to go grab some stuff and get some food because he is hungry. And fed up.
Go. Where are you going to try and go hunting at?
I think he's not near his normal prowling grounds. So do I know of any general is there territories nearby that Ursi would be aware of to not hunt in due to like domain infringing and stuff like that?
Not necessarily, but you do know the nightclub up top is open to everyone that behaves themselves.
Yeah, then I think he's going to feed. He's going to go to the nightclub
Time to
upstairs,
dance a
and
little jig at finally getting to use the nightclub background.
yeah, I think he's going to try and yeah, he's not. Yeah, yeah, and he's going to look for someone that is out of the way, off to the side, not on the dance floor or anything.
And when you find them, are you just going to walk straight up to them and sink your teeth in, or are you going to do this properly?
Gonna do it properly. God. Ugh.
This is not the music I'm used to. What the fuck?
This is 1999 in a club in summer of Miami.
Oh my God, living La Vida Loca.
I know, but oh my god, I want the
This
other
is
one
literally
back.
weeks after this track released and hit #1 on for weeks across the country. And this is one of the places it initially released in. Deal with it.
God, I've heard this song so many times. Uh,
All because of Shrek.
no, I heard it because of Just Dance, but growing up. Oh
I was
God.
clearly going to different clubs in 1999 from wherever the hell this is.
Yeah, it was a very popular song in 1999, particularly in Miami, and we're in Miami, so
No, that's fair.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to.
I'm gonna go ahead and turn it down just a little bit, but in any case, you are trying to hunt for someone, perhaps someone you can pull into a corner with, trying to be all seductive, though you're a giant of a man, which could work for you or against you, as these things go.
I don't think seduction's his route. He's not good at that.
What's his route?
I think his route is he's going to find someone who is clearly alone and like not with other people, and then he's gonna sort of approach them to talk.
Alright, cool, I guess.
Preferably someone that isn't drinking. Someone that looks.
Ooh, that is
Like, I
going
think
to
he's
be a
gonna
little bit
look.
more difficult, yes.
Yeah, he's going to be looking for someone that isn't drinking. Someone who looks like they're here but feel out of place.
Alright, let's make this a perception streetwise check.
All right.
Difficulty 7, because you're specifying trying to avoid someone that's been drinking. And this is a nightclub, sir.
Yes.
If he finds me in that nightclub, I'm going to be annoyed.
What was the difficulty again?
Difficulty 7, because it's trying to avoid people getting drunk.
I'm gonna burn a willpower because I really don't want to bot in the nightclub right above Elysium.
Understandable. You get 1 success from your willpower spent, so you will find someone, but only one someone that meets that qualifications in that period of time. which restrains you to one person's worth of blood. And how much are you going to take?
Still going.
Reminder, like you just said, you are in like the area above Elysium, part of Elysium, practically.
What does this? What is this person like?
Well, obviously, you find a human version of Jack leaning against one wall. I'm just messing. You will find a wallflower that seems to have been left by whatever friends or whoever he came in with. Not far from the bathrooms. Maybe they're in the bathrooms and he's waiting on them. Seems to be kind of staring out at the floor, but not with enough desire to go dance himself.
Mm. Ursi will. I'm just trying to remember whether or not that takes blood points because I'm not going to spend blood points when I'm about to do some stuff. Question. I haven't used much of the powers in V20. Does the level 1 dominate take blood points?
No,
No. Okay.
neither Dominate 1 nor 2 require blood point expenditure.
Good to know. Good to know. Uh,
You're going to try and
Word.
dominate this guy into following you.
yes. Thank you. Sorry. I am sorry that my brain has been lagging quite a bit today.
Hmm. Well, that will be easy enough as long as you can succeed.
Yay!
Specifically, a manipulation and intimidation roll.
All right.
Difficulty equal to their current willpower, which is a regular mortal in a club that probably doesn't want to be here. I must say his willpower is... He's got enough willpower not to drink. 4.
So manipulation. Uh,
Intimidation.
Say that one more time.
Intimidation. Manipulation and intimidation. Difficulty 4.
Difficulty 4. Okay. And do I add my dominate to this pool or no?
No.
Okay.
The discipline itself is not part of the pool.
Okay.
like
4
rolls.
successes.
You are able to get them to follow you for a good long while. Where do you take them?
I'm gonna take them just outside the club in like the alley.
It's a somewhat crowded alley. There's more than one couple making it out here, and more than one person taking a piss. But, well, I mean, even if it is only 1999, it's still 1999. People won't give you more than a second glance, probably, by looking like you're necking this guy.
Yeah, fair. And then I think I think Ursi will try to find a little bit more isolated in the alley, like try to go probably to a darker corner, and then, which granted, there's a lot of people here, but yeah, he'll try to be discreet about it. But then he's going to feed.
How much blood are you taking?
Um,
Common sense, it'd probably be unwise to take more than 2, as that might off-put this guy more than is desirable near Elysium.
yeah, I think just 2 is fine.
Excellent. Which means you presumably, after doing this, go to get your stuff. And we can reconvene. Unless someone else is also doing something that's more time-consuming.
No, please turn the music off, thank you.
Sorry.
Are you though?
No, I'm glad I got to finally play that.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry, be better.
Except I don't want to be
Proceed.
better. I want to be as good as I can be, which is including stuff from Miami 1999.
Yes. The things Ursi grabbed were essentially a different. He went back to his vehicle and drove and got a darker coat, and he now has a beanie and and he has some mini binoculars in his coat as well, which for him are just normal binoculars. I said that in the
Does Jack
reverse
have-
order.
Does Jack have any of his uniforms?
From back in the day? Yeah, probably
Mhm.
somewhere in his mansion.
Common sense. How stealthy would one of those be?
Well, they don't have anything. Like, are we talking? When you say uniform, do you mean military or police?
Military.
Well, they were for the jungles of Vietnam, so probably not very, unless you were with a lot of plant matter. And you were there the
Hmm.
other night. There's not a whole lot of plant stuff going around. Maybe a few bushes here or there.
All right. I guess I'll just stick with my suit then. That's
If I
black.
send you out into the Everglades soon, you might want that though.
I'll keep that in mind for when we get to the Everglades then, I guess.
So with 3 changes of outfits, so what is Maisie doing during this time? Did you ride with Artemis back to where he's getting changed?
Probably be the only person she feels comfortable going with.
Artemis, you have a tagger on to your ship two-wheeler and lock. Technically,
That's
she's
fine.
your responsibility. But hey, maybe you
That's
can
fine.
change up her style while you're here.
That is not a night 1 conversation. That is possibly a night 7 conversation. Artemis will lead her up to the penthouse offices where his company works out of. Take her to the executive lounge area, and we'll head off to get changed.
It's a very classy office with a very nice view.
Yep, there are almost no non-glass walls at the office. It's almost entirely glass, so you can see from one side of the office to the other, and it takes up the entire floor. So the view of the Miami skyline is pretty spectacular.
Maisie would definitely be checking out the skyline, specifically towards the ocean.
Ah, the beach area
Mm-hmm.
with its high-density neon lights. Looks so
Artemis
small from up here.
Artemis disappears for about 15 minutes, and when he comes back, he's wearing kind of a facsimile of what he was wearing before, but it's now all in black wool.
Ah, your
He's wearing-
funerary attire.
Yeah. He's got a 3/4 length black wool coat, a roll neck black sweater, underneath that, black slats, some very expensive, I've just looked this up, black Air Jordans.
Sneakers rather than,
Mhm. Yeah. Box
actual,
fresh.
shoes. Yeah.
Box fresh. He's
It's
probably
goodness,
never
you wouldn't
actually
use
worn
these
these
normally. You would use proper
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah, but needs must when the devil drives, and the devil is driving this evening. He also has a beanie hat, which he's loath to put on because it will mess up his hair. He kind of holds it in his hand and twists it.
Okay, I feel like there should be a story here. Where did you get a beanie hat? Where did Artemis, of all people, decide to get a beanie hat? Where did this come from?
Actually, it was probably from a victim. Someone he fed from. I shall write that story for my next experience point bonus thing.
Excellent. I look forward to it. Sorry, that just seemed like such an odd thing for him to include in his wardrobe anywhere.
Yeah, I think he probably. No, I've got an idea for it, but I'll write it. Yeah, he's kind of ringing it. It's almost like a stress reaction that he doesn't seem to be aware of. Maisie, are you ready to head out?
She'll turn around and look at Artemis. Yeah, you look like you're ready for a snowstorm.
Well, one can never be too prepared where this kind of thing is concerned. I'm not sure what we'll find in the train yard this evening, but tell me, how fast can you run?
I mean, it's not really a thing that I have to do often. But
Good to know, but we may need to do a little athleticism this evening. I'll bear that in mind.
Good
Sure.
thing you have both potence and celerity.
Well, shall we?
Why not?
Just before they leave, Artemis will open his jacket, pull out the concealed carry that he has, check it, make sure it's loaded, and then pop it back into the underarm holster.
Which does bring the group back to the lounge. Anything special Jack is doing? Beyond what's already been said. I will assume no.
Man, this Goblu is hard.
All things considered, I would say Artemis and Maisie are probably back first, as Cersei has to both feed and go places to get his special stuff, presumably also including something to see with. And
Yep.
Jack also has to go down to his manor and back.
Why? I didn't change into anything.
Say that. When he's using his
Oh,
overdrive tag,
I thought you did. I'm sorry.
I said common sense. Would it be good for me to change into my uniform? And you went,
why does he say
well, there's nothing there for you to, for no reason, there's no foliage, so your uniform would be pretty useless. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna keep my suit then.
Okay, chill, chill. In any case, Artemis, Maisie, you find Jack already waiting. Perhaps he never left. Back at Elysium when you arrive.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, I suppose we now wait for Ursi to arrive and tell us exactly how we approach this. Jack, you have more experience than I with this kind of thing. How would you approach this evening's task?
Well, I've done a lot of recon back in Nam, so.
Yeah.
The player has not been to Vietnam, so
Well,
I will
In
be
the case-
explaining stuff that if it is wrong, keep in mind Jack would know better.
alright, well, basic overview, you've been to the rail yard. You know if you're going to get any sort of viewpoint from any sort of distance that doesn't require you to be in the rail yard, you're going to need an elevated position. Around that area, from what you remember from your memory, is basically warehouses, maybe a couple of factories,
Oh, you
and
just took it to the
some
other-
low-income apartments.
Okay. That part's so cool.
I think it'd be a decent idea to stop by one of the apartments. I think we should be able to get a good vantage point from there.
Sounds good.
But
And getting into apartments where I shouldn't be is one of my specialties.
well, someone as rich and fancy as you, I'm sure you could always pose as a buyer.
Decent enough suggestion. I'll certainly bear it in mind.
Ursi will return not too long after.
Shoots. Ursi arrives. When Ursi arrives, he. We are current. Where exactly are we again? I've forgotten.
We're back at the basement lounge, but not the VIP room.
Not the VIP room. Okay. Good. Everybody's here. Well then. Y'all ready to go?
Ready and willing as always.
Great, let's head out. Is who here is taking a separate vehicle, or who is riding with me?
Maisie, you were dropped off. You didn't actually come in your vehicle, just FYI.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure, as per usual, Jack will be taking his motorcycle. The three of us can always head in your van, or it's all the same to you.
The bus it is. Speaking of that, let's let's re let's convene there. I want to cover some things before we immediately head out.
Jack has mooted the possibility of the apartment buildings nearby being a possible vantage point. What are your thoughts?
That was one of the places I was going to bring up. I was also thinking we could potentially check out one of the warehouses, depending on which one has a better viewpoint.
Excellent. Excellent. Then we're agreed.
I'm also going to be pulling up. Ursi is going to. We'll talk more at the vehicle because I'll have a visual there. As once we get to the bus, once we get to the bus, Ursi's gonna open up his laptop and pull up and open up the map. Open up a map of the area we're heading to, and then in another tab, if I can, I would like if Ursi to pull up a map of the rail yard specifically, like a more detailed map of the rail yard and the surrounding area. If you would like me to make a roll to get that information, 100% down.
Sorry, could you repeat that? My headset cut out.
I'm once the rest of the crew meets up at Ursi's Volkswagen bus, he is gonna break out the laptop and pull up a map of Miami, specifically covering the area that we're going to like display the buildings around that we would potentially do, and then in another tab, I'd like to have Ursi pull up
Oh, I can correct you right
more
there.
zoomed
Tabs
in.
weren't a thing yet. Tabs didn't become a thing until the early 2000s. I remember I was wowed when I first saw them on like Firefox.
Okay, then in a separate window. That works, right?
Yep. Having to open everything up in a separate window was a pain in the ass. You didn't realize it was a pain until you finally saw tabs. Goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, so he pulls up a larger map of Miami like this, and then he pulls up a smaller one specifically zoomed in on the rail yard and like the immediate stuff within like the street that's connected to the actual.
I will say the most
rail
that
yard.
you'll find online at this point is probably not any sort of high-res digital maps. You'll find like basically pictures of the actual street maps you can pick up at gas stations for states and the like, except just Miami.
All
There's
right.
no real high-res zooming in stuff. It's just all real fine print you gotta squint at.
Have you considered asking Jeeves? I found some useful things on there.
Jeeves? Out of character, what?
There was a search engine. It's called Ask.com.
It was
now.
terrible.
It was originally called Ask Jeeves, and it was it was earlier than Google. I think Google came in around this time actually, 1999, 2000-ish.
And while those are true, Jack, the first widespread tabs didn't become a thing till the early 2000s.
Okay, so
both Chrome and Firefox started showing them up around the same time.
I'm putting this in text to not derail game. Dang it.
And none of those
he
were
pulls
widely
up.
used, is what I'm saying. But anyway,
he's gonna pull up the map and zoom in on the area that we're gonna be dealing with to just have visuals for when we're talking about what building we're gonna be going to and stuff like that, and also just to see a larger layout of just like to just double go over like the layout of the streets around the area and potential basically like a pre-scoping of potential areas to check out for entrances and exits before we actually go to make it a little bit more efficient. like identifying what areas would be choke points for
I think he's
certain for
the
people trying to be a little bit more
which I think is so big.
stealthy on the streets, like avoiding the main streets and stuff like that nearby,
Could be the painteress.
and like identifying which areas, like in and out of the rail yard area, would avoid more
But I do
people.
think Gustav's the old man and the
Hmm.
banker guy.
Like it's good to go the other side of that the front is and where all the business is done, but I don't want to
Well, you're not
accidentally
going to
put
get a
like
complete view no matter where you go, because obviously there's only going to be seeing it from one vantage point. But what's streetwise?
Yeah, she kind of felt it, and before she died, she wanted
uh
to like it was kind of weird. I mean, she stared at Gustav at the end, but
sorry, what?
the odd choice of where she wanted
You said you were looking for a place with less people, right? Or at least where you'll be less likely to be seen from, like,
Yeah,
from the rail yard.
where on the map is the place we're going,
nightmare was
by the way?
Unfortunately, the map I have is really zoomed in. Hialeah, if you scroll down, you can kind of see where Hialeah Gardens is, next to the mini map thing. And the rail yard is
Oh,
out past that, a little further
that
northeast.
would be interesting.
Yeah, I did not choose the map as well as I probably could have, but it was better than a lot of the other ones I was looking at, so
fair,
on some
very fair.
reason.
Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm just trying to actually see the roads there. Then,
Yeah, I don't have a map of the actual area itself specifically. Sorry.
no problem. Brain. In that case, should I just make a roll or something to uh
Yeah, what's
go-
streetwise difficulty 7?
oh, sorry, my bad. All right. Wits streetwise. Difficulty 7. 2 successes.
2 successes. Between the idea of a neighboring warehouse, one of the neighboring manufacturing plants, or the apartments. I think the apartments is most likely to be overlooked, as any people that may see may assume you're just actual people in the apartment hanging out on a balcony or a fire escape or the like. Both are options. This is low income.
All right.
Of course,
So,
you will have to go through the added loophole of getting into an apartment or convincing someone to let you into their apartment. But in
is
terms
there
of
a
threat from
fire
being
escape?
seen from the actually, most buildings around here will have a fire escape if they're over a couple stories tall. Yes.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to double check that. Um, yeah, so once everyone's there, Ursi pulls up the map, zooms in on the area, and then points out the specific thing.
Again, you're really more just squinting your face against the screen. Ugh.
Anyways, he's gonna point out that so we can hit, we should have a good vantage point from the top of this apartment building. There should be a fire escape, which should make it relatively easy to get up top. If need be, we should have means of getting in otherwise. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but that seems like the most simple and clean way of doing this. Any other observations or ideas people would like to add?
No, that seems a reasonable plan. I would suggest I get up high and use my particular gifts to make sure I can oversee everything going on in the train yard.
Yep. All right.
Hopefully, Ursa remembered to pick up certain implements while he was out.
I have binoculars.
Common sense. Yes. Did you bring
I
one
have
pair, or did you bring more than one?
I brought.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
I'm not gonna lie. I only brought one for Ursi.
Me too.
Because
I got a pair
Ursi
myself.
already. Yeah. All right. Cool. Shoots. All right. Well then, unless somebody else has something else to say or point out, I say we should head out as soon as possible.
Out of character,
As
can I have one of
Ursi-
those? Sorry.
Go.
Can I have one of those sighting scopes that the snipers use?
Sure. You mean like that their spotter might use or the like?
Yeah.
Certainly.
I will take that out of my bag. You can see like a little thing with like a tripod.
What
Ursi
are
will
the,
just reach into his coat when we're doing once we have it, and then he has a pair of normal size binoculars, which in his hands and with his size, look like mini binoculars. So he's like holding it with like 2 fingers and a thumb.
You have to spread them out completely in order to even be able to see through both of them at the same time.
Yep.
you absolutely, Mr. Storyteller, say if this isn't reasonable, but Artemis, I would like Artemis to pull from his pocket a small brass telescope, an antique, a 19th century shipman's telescope that he had on his desk back in the office that he's brought with him. And it's
You did go back to your office and things. It would make sense for you to have been able to pick up something. So yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And here I was expecting him to have opera glasses.
it's clearly over
Just
100 years.
Yeah, it pulls out. So you got Jack with some, admittedly probably an older model, probably like something Vietnam or post-Vietnam era, with spotter lens or the like, and you have Jack. Ursi with his freaking binoculars that look incredibly tiny on him, and then out of Artemis's zone comes something that's an absolute antique of a small telescope.
Maisie is going to be looking at all three of them with their little fucking telescopes and binoculars and be like, this is really a dick measuring contest, isn't it?
I mean, I carry this thing with me always, just as part of my kit. I got binoculars, I got body bags, I got forensic kit, I got evidence baggies,
Artemis
got a
will
couple
wait
grenades just in case.
Artemis will wait until Jack's looking away, going through this list. He will turn to Maisie and almost imperceptibly he'll just nod.
Maisie's gonna look at Artemis, then back at Jack, and just nod her head like, okay, I know which one's the crazy one in the team.
Oh, he's not the crazy one. His daughter is.
Yeah, but she hasn't met my daughter yet.
That's going to be amazing, though.
It's a good thing out of character, I have plenty of Malkavian experience now.
And I got a
We
sniper
will save
rifle.
it.
Got a sniper rifle in the other compartment.
Oh, on your motorcycle.
You never
broken
know when
down.
you might need a
Use
sniper
that.
rifle.
Yeah. Easy enough to do. I mean, at this point, you could probably assemble it blindfold. Between your eidetic memory and actual experience using it. Okay, it's time for the 4 of you to move out. 3 by bus, 1 by motorcycle. Now, I will again ping common sense here, Ursi. That tonight, at night when they will actually be in the rail yard, you probably shouldn't pull up right outside the rail yard, especially not with loud motorcycle. Now, pull into like a parking lot at, say, the low-income housing, well, that'll be normal to hear loud noises. But right against the rail yard itself, maybe not, because someone's going to want to glance at the motorcycle. They always do.
Yeah, Ursi's definitely not heading to straight to the rail yard. He's heading to probably around the block opposite of the rail yard from the apartment building that we're going to.
As to looking at motorcycles, I know because the story my mom will not shut up about at times, and she's talking to random people she's never met before. It's the time of me, a baby in my diapers, would run over to the big wall-sized window we had back looking out onto the street whenever I thought I heard a motorcycle. Going, motorcycle, motorcycle. Half the time it was a slug bug.
Slug bug.
Slug bug. AKA the old name for the Beatles, as in like the cars.
Yep, slug bug, because you'd slug your friend when you'd see one, and then tell them they'll slug back. Which I still do, but not often, because there's not many around.
Yep, it really has to be the old ones to qualify. I mean, we kind of adapted the game briefly to include the new Beetle cars, but it just wasn't the same.
No, it's a good feeling once you.
I switched the way that we did the game was if you see a license plate from a different state, you would punch.
Yeah,
The license
we
plate
did that
game.
one too, and the yellow car.
As part of my childhood fight with brain tumor, being at St. Jude, there were all sorts of different state license plates in that car parking garage.
Once you get, so I've learned, so after a while.
Pretty much everything aside from Hawaii.
Gustav's agility and luck almost into 15 points each.
In any case, you will be departing. So for the three of you in the bus, any sort of private conversation on the way there, or does it kind of pass without talking?
His luck is 11 and his agility is not 15. But I will say,
I think
I'm sorry,
possibly
was something said? I think I missed it.
Artemis reading the mood is probably going to stay quiet.
I said, Bagel, that while the three of you, like the ones riding the bus, on the way there, any private conversation in the bus, or is it all quiet and gloomy?
I think Ursi will try to get. I think he'll attempt conversation. So,
give it your best
what
shot.
brought you to this task force? God, I fucking hate small talk.
A sire and a leash.
Understandable.
Apparently, I need to be a little bit more involved in the tower, so a little less so much with my humans.
Well, I can definitely say I understand the first part. I'd much rather, if this wasn't my job, I'd probably be just studying right now.
Do you often study?
Oh, that's right. I don't know you well, and thus you don't. So you know how, someone, fucker, someone cuts off. Ursi is to play off, aka me playing off me failing at words. What the fuck is it called?
Thaumaturgy?
Thank you. It wasn't that, but that helped me remember the actual word. I figured you already knew. Tremere? The Chantry?
Ah, the book nerds. Got it. With the blood magic shit.
Yeah, Ursi will just kind of, as he's not going to look back for it, but he'll just kind of put his arm out and point at himself. Book nerd.
Quite a conundrum you got there.
People never expect the big guy to be one of the smart ones. Makes it much easier for people to underestimate me.
I mean, fair. They never expect the screw-offs to be smart either.
Very true.
Sometimes you gotta be smart to survive.
I don't think it's sometimes. I think you just got to be smart to survive. Well, no, definitely not all the time. Some people make it by, and it is just like, how?
It's called luck.
Artemis will sigh very theatrically at this point. Fine, I'll be the adult in the room. Ursi, how are you dealing with the location earlier?
Sorry, what was that? You cut out. You said the actual thing you said in that sentence
Altercation.
got cut out. The
How you doing
occasion.
with the altercation earlier? Yeah.
A little altercation earlier with Jack. How are you holding up?
You
after
mean the old asshole from another city that showed up and then on the night I met him attempted to take my job?
that? If you want to put a fine point on it, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You doing okay, champ?
I'm fine. I'm
Good.
annoyed that this old piece of shit thinks that just because he's I understand he's experienced, but I don't need an arrogant asshole constantly trying to get me in trouble when we're trying to deal with the fucking Sabat invading the city. If he wants to be helpful, he can just be helpful. That's clearly not what he wants.
You've heard the phrase, I assume, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
There's a reason I'm not normally politically active.
Well,
It's because that shit
unfortunately,
is tiring and a pain in my ass.
I am inclined to agree, but unfortunately that's the situation we find ourselves. You, in particular, are under a microscope. A lot of pressure on you, I understand that. Is there anything I can do to support in any way?
Artemis, you're doing a good job. I don't have an issue with you, and I appreciate your work. I appreciate you doing this conversation, and I think if you keep doing as you have been, doing your best to do your best, we're going to be fine.
Well, I have no doubt whatsoever that's the case. Just
I'm
remember, just remember, if you need a shoulder, I'm always here.
heard.
I would like
He
to
would then
say that I am so glad I threw his CD earlier.
Yeah, that was his CD?
That was his CD.
Fun fact.
Good. How the hell did he that was awful.
Fun fact, the piano player in that particular debacle was the... Now, out of character, am I getting this right? The Prince of Denver?
Sheriff of Denver.
Oh, Sheriff
Sheriff
of
of Denver.
was the Sheriff of Denver, which is, I believe, where Jack came from before arriving here.
Out of character, the
No
entire
fucking
blues
way.
band is the prince plays guitar. One of his people plays the saxophone. It's all the upper echelons of Denver.
Also, this is entirely White Wolf canon, so this isn't being made up.
I have to confess, I'm intrigued as to exactly where he found that. According before, certain of my clanmates have passed it around as a curiosity piece, but I wasn't aware of its extension outside of our clan. I'd be intrigued to know where Jack got it from.
Wherever he got it from, they need to find someone to help that poor piano player. Or he needs to go to school. Something. Because that was downright awful. No offense. I was a
None
music
taken.
minor.
I would go a stage further and say someone needs to close the piano lid on that particular piano, preferably with his fingers still on the keys.
I didn't say
Yeah,
that. You said that. I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Well, I did go to school for criminology, and let me say, that isn't legally a crime, but it should be.
The music or the slamming of fingers in the piano?
The music.
Also, when Jack showed me that when we were working on character stuff, that became my new favorite tidbit of White Wolf lore.
But yeah, in regards to actually dealing with Jack, I just
Out of character, he's your Starscream.
Oh dear.
yeah, as Ursi's just kind of gonna let out a huff of just he doesn't really know what to do about Jack currently because it's like he's useful, but he is oh boy, especially with the stuff Ursi knows more about him.
What we need to do is prove categorically to Jack's satisfaction that you are the individual to lead this group. Let me have a think on it. I'm sure I can come up with something.
You are the master of reputations. I mean, surely this can't be any harder than covering up a guy who's fucking both his goat and his dog before an election.
I don't want to know
What?
anymore. I already know too much.
I love the one-sided text and phone conversations Artemis has in the backseats of vehicles as they're going from one place to another.
Just an excuse for me to let the bad rub out, that's all it is.
But it's hilarious. In any case, you do eventually arrive at your planned parking area near the low-income apartments, I believe it was. Or at the very least, removed from the rail yard directly in any fashion. And that is where we will call it for the night, because if we continue, we will go another 50 minutes over, and I don't want to do that again.
Okay.
Understandable.
And if we can't end on starting a fresh night, I'd at least like to end as one scene ends and the next is about to begin.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable. That gives time to think.
Also, I didn't know if you were going to choose the stakeout option or the assault option for tonight, so I was kind of somewhat trying to cover both.
Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, that brings us to experience. Everyone gets one, then you get your role playing, and then there's the learning. Kirsty, what did you learn tonight?
Ooh.
There are several good options here, even without thinking on it.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with. Ursi learned that despite the, or not despite, Ursi learned that right as he doesn't, I don't think he trusts Jack much right now. I think he learned that his ability to place trust in Jack is lower than he thought. As one thing happened when he learned about the child stuff and how he had gone out of his way to not involve that stuff with things, and then the next day or the next night to hear that he tried to get his job stolen. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that's what Ursi learned. Ursi knew he had a target on his back. He was not expect one of the targeters to be right there.
That would probably qualify even in a book 3 question of this nature, but we are in book 1, so it absolutely does. So +1 for Ursi. Artemis, what did Artemis learn tonight?
Artemis learned that there is a potential power struggle in the coterie. And if there's one area in which Artemis thrives, it's when there's a power struggle that he is not directly involved in. Means he
Something you
can
perhaps picked up from yourself, or perhaps from your sire, perhaps both.
there's always opportunity for gain of some kind when there's a power struggle.
Chaos is a ladder, to use the overquote.
Mhm.
Well, that will be +1 for Artemis. Jack, what did Jack learn tonight?
Apparently, Chinese delivery people's blood tastes like MSG.
And you're hungry again half an hour later.
Right? Absolutely bonkers.
You know what? For comedy's sake, I will allow it because it's funny.
I would never do that in book 2 or book 3, but I feel like it would fly in book 1.
You are correct. You are correct. It will barely fly, but it will fly like a seagull that actually consumed way too much alcohol.
A morbidly obese seagull.
Pixar
wanna
should
just-
do that in their next film.
I want to just generate that on ChatGPT. Make me an image of a drunk, morbidly obese seagull.
You won't get
Flying.
XP for it, but I would still love to see it. Good luck. In any case,
That's fine.
Maisie. What did Maisie learn tonight?
Maisie learned that Artemis is probably the most level-headed in the dick measuring contest coterie that she has joined.
He's at least conscious of the dick measuring, yes.
Yeah. And actively participates still.
Yep. That'll be it. So that's 3 for everyone. Now in reverse order. Maisie, who is your MVP tonight?
Glad I write this shit down. Ursi for standing his ground against Jack with his undermining.
Okay, that's +1 for Ursi. Jack, who is your MVP tonight?
I will give it to the new person for smashing the record.
Fair.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Artemis, who's your MVP?
I'm going to go with Ursi, I think, for keeping his chill when that was quite a tense situation.
The drama llama is always a drama.
I
Yes.
don't like it when Daddy and Daddy fight.
Both my daddies are fighting. And they're both old. Well, I was about to say they're both younger than you, but I suppose Jack might be older than Artemis. In any case, Ursi, who's your MVP?
Ooh.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I was. It was between Jack and Maisie, and I think I am gonna go with Maisie for the same thing of that record breaking. That was a nice touch.
Which does bring it to a tie between Ursi and Maisie, and I have to be the tiebreaker. But I would like to say that the person I would tiebreak vote for is not actually in the tie. I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to Dio and / Jack for adding that coterie drama llama. Oh, and the music.
Yeah,
Those are both wonderful. And
yeah.
deserve a
The
shout
music. They were very good touches.
Mm-hmm.
But since I have to tiebreak between Ursi and Maisie, I'm going to have to, as much as I would love to give Maisie an MVP for her first game in, I'm going to go with Ursi because keeping your cool when you're under the spotlight by another party member or coterie member is not the easiest thing in the world, and you were rolling with it.
Thank you. I'm gonna be
That'll
honest.
be
I
three
did
for
not
everyone and
think
4 for
I kept it that cool, but
Ursi.
I guess I did. Well, no. Yeah. With vampires, that could have gotten way worse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
I probably
Thank you.
should have
Sorry.
asked for a frenzy check at some point in there. Actually, I'll have to get better about that. But
To be fair, when it
add my
comes to the
notes.
virtues, self-control is really high for Ursi.
We'll get to test that out next session. Foreshadowing.
Is Malkov gonna show up? Oh god.
No,
Oh,
not
no.
that. Not that bad.
Oh, no.
Foreshadowing. No. kind of pseudo related, but only in a way that would be related for Ursi and not for say Jack.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
But I do have something planned. It'll be delightful, especially if you do fail that roll and prove Jack right. Goodness, but you should not be in charge of this group.
oh no, oh
Okay.
no. Now I'm worried that some of the people being trafficked are going to be kids. Fuck.
Well, that wasn't how I was planning on that going down, but you know what? Maybe I
Fuck.
will.
No, I screwed myself twice.
You don't give him juicy details unless you want him to use them against you, because he's good at that. Trust me.
Rob,
I mean,
please
it
remind
is
me
gonna
of the
make it
golden rule of
juicy.
storytelling.
Sorry?
The rule that if your players say something better,
Oh god, yeah, no. If the players say something better than the idea I'd had, yeah, no, absolutely.
God damn it.
we will see. I will think on it.
Like, that's
Hope
gonna
everyone
make,
had a good time.
that'll
Finally
make it
moved
interesting.
farther.
That will definitely make
Oh,
it
we did have to
interesting.
introduce a new player.
Yeah. Nah, it was still a good introduction. Maisie seems very interesting and
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Out of
I
her
was not
depth,
expecting
too.
a La Sombra.
Yeah, definitely out of my depth. Even
Yeah,
out of character,
I had
too.
to I had to keep her from dropping that information tidbit till I had the chance to work it out. There were two ways it could have gone. She could have been pretending to be a Ventru or the openly La Sombra path. We went with the second path, which means I needed to work the timeline in a way that made that plausible in a Camarilla city.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I dropped into the timeline, so locations and details. So I still need to finish adding more details too. I'm planning on putting down like bits about like the major locations in the city, so there's a written description there, and other Miami local details.
You still haven't done my
That'll be
introduction.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I ended up waking up later than I intended to.
Oh, yeah.
I set my alarm for like 6:30, and I slept well past that. I blame the melatonin, and
Yeah.
only got up like 3 hours later, and I ran out. I was scrambling. Ugh. In any case, I will see y'all. Well, I suppose I'll be seeing one of you tomorrow, presumably, and another one of you on Monday, and
Another
I
one on
guess
Tuesday.
Bagel whenever. Yeah, another one on Tuesday, and Bagel whenever we next play Stellaris, or something else.
Hey. That game has eaten my life.
Mhm.
Well, I'm happy to eat it alongside you.
It's a good game. I like it a lot. The Wild is a very interesting and fun play once I've gotten used to it.
I still need to show you the video of that build I was talking about last night. In any case, that is for tomorrow. For tonight, good night, everyone, or good afternoon, or good morning. No, it's still good afternoon for Bagel because he's in Seattle now.